Hello there, and welcome to the Night Owl, a show that we do twice a week where we discuss all the latest in pop culture news, gaming news, TV and movie reviews. I'm your host, Price of Reason, and here with me, as usual, is my co host, Professor R2. How's it going, Professor?
It's going well. I got my sound effects working.
He
Hey
just
there.
introduced a brand new sound effect. I know people
Yes, for
haven't heard it
all
here yet.
those people who are just so excited to be here and hear me making beeping noises. It's
Sounds good to me.
great stuff.
So it's been quite an interesting week. I
Oh
feel
boy.
like if you thought that this election would take place and somehow everything would become boring,
Oh man. Oh, all
well,
the people who have just been just I don't even know the word for it, apoplectic, just completely losing their minds over the the nominations that Trump has been making, the picks he's been making for various different offices, people just flipping out. And I think it might have just hit like a fever pitch just in the last couple of days with people just absolutely losing their minds over RFK Jr. and Matt Gaetz. Those announcements, I think, broke a lot of people's brains.
I think that what happened also is that I don't know how it's been in previous. I'm trying to remember previous years, previous elections. He's hit the ground running, meaning he was elected, and 5 minutes later, he's doing these kind of videos that he's explaining his policy. He's appointing people right and left, like 5 seconds after he was elected. I think it's very, very quick. I've seen times where somebody was taking his time and thinking what he wants to do. Trump seems to hit the ground running, and
Yeah, and well, I think he learned a lot from the first time around. He was completely just totally unexperienced when it came to DC. So he was not entirely he was not entirely sure what to do, I think, in a lot of things. He was listening to a lot of people giving him advice on various different things. And well, oh, we have a coughing Sean Crummell.
Oh,
Hey
sorry.
there, Sean.
hey,
All right.
Sean,
That's
where
all
are
right,
you?
Sean.
Why are you
Oh,
not here?
Oh, I think you've just got duo up there. I think you got to add the put it on auto. There you
Sorry.
go.
Oh,
Didn't mean to
here he
cough.
Yeah.
is.
I'm just
No, that's all
listening.
right. But no, I think Trump was the first time around. He was kind of new to all this, and he was kind of relying on a lot of other people to kind of fill him in on, hey, who should my picks be? Who should I put in place? Who should I keep around? Who should I kick out? And so on. And I think he got screwed by a lot of those picks the first time around. And he's decided this time he's picking his people. He's picking the people he trusts, the people that are not going to stab him in the back, the ones that are not going to be establishment, deep, quote unquote, deep state people. And to hell with the, with the complaints and the consequences. He does, he's ready to get people in there that he thinks are going to do the job and do it well. He's not concerned about keeping people in DC happy. So yeah,
Right. I mean,
it's been fascinating to see some of these picks.
it's not a guarantee that he won't have falling outs or fight with people.
No,
But I
no,
will say that if nothing else, there's a feeling that all these people that were with him on his campaign that he made promises to, right out the gate, he immediately starts appointing the people that were in his corner. Meaning, sometimes you've had situations, or even I've seen him do it. Like I'm thinking of somebody like Chris Christie. Chris Christie was in his corner, but then, he was elected and he didn't give him anything to do, really. I think that in this case, the people that sort of were part of his crew, the second that he got elected, he's giving them roles. And I guess some people are sort of, having meltdowns about it, especially
yeah.
people when it comes to Hollywood people. But what
Oh
I've
man,
noticed
yeah.
today, and that's also part of the thumbnail, is I feel like, and this was something that I think Joe Rogan and JD Vance were talking about, that they've really shifted their focus on Elon Musk now. They
Mhm.
are very, very salty about
Oh,
Elon
they
and
they are.
his role. I saw a video today that I guess now is being shared, sort of to sort of frame, what Elon Musk is. Did you see this video?
I mean, I've seen a few different videos. I'm not sure which one you're talking about. Which
Let me
what
see if
exactly
let me
was
see
he?
if I can find this
Yeah.
one.
The fact that
Give
he's
me a second, because I saw it, because you could tell somebody put effort into doing it, and they were really, I mean, they were taking things that some of it is true, but sort of putting a narrative frame surrounding it.
The,
Let me see if I can find this thing.
the fact
Tell
that he
some
said
jokes
that
in the meantime.
Yeah.
I only got one joke.
Well, Professor R2 has one, so together you have
Oh
two.
yeah, that we got
Yeah.
two. Yeah. What were you saying, Sean?
I saw a thing where his DOGE department is gonna keep a leaderboard for most worthless agencies,
Well,
and
why not?
I thought that was the funniest thing I had read all day.
I mean, you're talking about it. You know, it's so funny because people are really losing their minds over this whole Doge thing, the whole this Department of Government Efficiency, and how he's going to cut this and they're going to cut that, and what if they cut these things and then we lose all these services and stuff. You know, that's the funny thing. He hasn't nailed down. He hasn't specifically said anything about any one thing that they're necessarily going to just eliminate, and that's not even really the point. The point is that we've got a government that is absolutely addicted to spending. And they are throwing money after things that are just stupid. I think there was, there are a few things that he has mentioned or he's had some memes about and whatnot. Like one was talking about there was someone was talking about a $3 million grant that was given to some researchers to study like guinea pigs fighting each other when they're on steroids. Like that was it, or it was hamsters or something. I don't remember, but it was insane. It's like,
I believe
no, you don't need to spend money on that. Like, who needs to spend money on that? That's silly, And there's all sorts of other things too that you look at. Like they they put in 2021 they started spending money. I can't remember the exact name of the bill, but the idea was that they were going to this initiative was going to go out and they were going to spend some like $42 billion to work on expanding rural access to the internet. And the way that they decided to do this, the companies that they decided to work with were fiber line providers. So that means they have to dig and lay millions of miles of fiber in the ground to provide stuff to these rural different places. And here's the kicker. That money was started in 2001. As of 2003, not a single customer had been connected. They were still trying to work out stuff with the states. And then they weren't expected to actually even connect anyone until 2026, 5 years after putting $42 billion down. When you've got somebody like Elon Musk, who's putting satellites in frickin' space almost every other day, who says, for a couple $100, I can give them broadband internet. Here you go. And all they have to do is stick a little dish on top of their house and they've got broadband internet. Is it exactly the same as having fiber line? No. But considering the difference in cost, right? It's like, yeah, you could spend so much less money and get a very similar result. Most of these people in these rural areas don't even care if they have the difference between fiber line or having Starlink. A whole hell of a lot of them are just going out now and buying Starlink for themselves. By the time they actually get around to putting this fiber in the ground, they're not even going to care anymore. So
it'll be unnecessary at that point.
Yeah, it'll be pointless.
Once the speeds get better and better with Starlink, at the end these things will be obsolete. Istophobos said if this had gone the other way, the media would report Kamala takes wise counsel from experienced billionaire Jeff Bezos to help her former team. That's probably true. I mean, the thing is that and I've always said this, I because I'm sort of a middle of the road guy, and it's not that I put all these politicians on pedestals. I usually have kind of I try my best to give like an objective opinion here, but I will say that I don't like double standards, and I don't like when things aren't on the up and up. And I did feel throughout the this campaign that the mainstream media was not giving fair coverage here. And I think that since this happened, I don't know that they've gotten any better. I think that a lot of news outlets that were doing whatever they did before the election, now they just seem angry and upset and having meltdowns and things like that. And when it comes to Hollywood celebrities, they're not taking the hint either. And somehow they focus their attention on Elon Musk, because now they're thinking to themselves, if not for Musk, he wouldn't have won this thing. Now, there's this thing led by donkeys. It says art activism. They have like close to 1 million followers. I'm not familiar with this account, but there's a video circulating that they made that they're explaining now, framing Elon Musk. So I'm going to show you. You haven't seen this, right?
I don't think I have seen this one.
So let me show you if I can find it. Let's see. Is it here? Okay. Are you seeing this?
Yes.
Can you hear it?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Now we got audio.
This is the story of how the world's richest person, the owner of Tesla and X, bought the global town square, then corrupted it before using his immense wealth to help elect a convicted felon. April 14, 2022. Elon Musk makes an unsolicited offer to buy Twitter for $44 billion. He claims the site has become politically skewed and says, for Twitter to deserve public trust, it must be politically neutral. October 27th, the deal goes through. The next evening, a far-right conspiracy theorist breaks into the San Francisco home of Democrat House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, intending to kidnap her. Pelosi is away, but the man attacks her husband Paul, hitting him repeatedly on the head with a hammer. Paul Pelosi escapes with his life, but requires surgery for a fractured skull. While most people take the chance to decry political violence, the new owner of Twitter, Elon Musk, posts a tweet sharing an entirely false claim that Paul Pelosi was in fact injured in a drunken fight with a male prostitute with whom he was involved. Musk includes a link to a false claim on a website that has a history of publishing conspiracy theories, including a story asserting that Hillary Clinton is dead and has been replaced by a body double. Musk's post is retweeted 24,000 times before he deletes it. November 18th, Musk's Twitter starts to unlock previously banned accounts. Misogynist far-right influencer Andrew Tate was permanently banned from Twitter in 2017 after urging women to, quote, bear some responsibility for rape. Now he's back. Tate posts, I've decided to fly to the failed state of California, walk into Twitter HQ, and tell @Elon Musk he's a legend. On my way. 2 months later, Tate will be arrested in Romania on suspicion of human trafficking, rape, and forming an organized crime group.
I mean, to be fair, I think that I'm not a fan of Andrew Tate. I really don't connect with his brand or whatever it is that he does. I do know that they ended up not doing anything to him on those charges. I don't know if they were true or not, but he doesn't seem to be affected by them. That it's fair to point out, even though I don't like him personally, he's not my cup of tea. Don't prefer him. At the same time, also, this is a situation where they're trying to connect the dots between different things and sort of paint a picture. I think that at that time with that Pelosi thing, people just didn't really know what was going on. I mean, saying that there may be more to the story, I mean, I don't really know what happened there, to be honest with you. That whole thing was kind of bizarre.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that it's true or not true. I simply don't know, really. Could he have possibly not said anything? Probably, but I don't really know. There's certainly been a lot of memes and I've heard stories about that thing, but I don't really know what happened there, really, to be honest. If you guys know, you can tell me, but I don't really, to this day, really get what happened. I know there was a guy there when there was some hammer and the guy was a weirdo, but I don't really know beyond that.
Last I heard, they thought it was his boyfriend or something, and then I never heard about it again.
No, yeah, I think it was some wacko, I think, that got in to the house. But yeah, I don't know if their claims of him being a far-right conspiracy theorist are necessarily true. There were a whole lot of different claims about what he was and what he believed and all sorts of different stuff. I think he was just a nut, is what I think.
Right. I mean, he was a nut, and it was a pretty fresh, situation that was just unfolding. I will say that probably without any kind of real information, maybe Elon could have not done that. But I don't think that that's a situation, the way they're kind of building this narrative in this video. I also, the fact that he let Andrew Tate back on his platform, he didn't say he liked Andrew Tate. He just maybe... He lifted a lot of bans because he said that he didn't like having this type of platform that bans people all the time. And it was almost like a matter of principle that he believed in, for good or for bad. I mean, he recognized that some people that will be unbanned will be maybe people that people don't like them, but he thought it was better than banning them. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is you can agree with it or not, or you could be angry about it or not, but I think that the way they're framing the narrative isn't 100% accurate to what's going on, even though some of these things may have happened. The narrative frame that they're putting in is kind of strange. But I'll
Yeah.
continue.
But he likes free
December 8th,
speech.
3 members of
Yeah, he likes free speech, but they're
So
giving a
regardless
different-
if someone's an a-hole, they're still gonna have the freedom of speech.
Well, and I think I think a lot of people mistake some of the things that he posts. Of course, this happens a lot on the left these days, where they have literally no humor whatsoever.
Mm.
And I think that there are lots of things that he might post that he thinks are funny. He's posting them because it's a joke. It's a laugh for him, or it's
he
a
does have a
troll.
sense of humor. I'll give him that. I mean, he does.
And of course, the humorless left just takes it as, oh, he's saying that this is what he believes, and it's like, no, I think he's
They
messing
take
with
everything
you.
super seriously.
He's messing with you. He's retweeting it because he's trying to piss you off, and guess what? It worked.
Twitter's Trust and Safety Council resign. In their resignation letter, they cite research that found slurs against Black Americans and gay men jumped 195% and 58% respectively since Musk's takeover. 3 days later, the remaining members of Twitter's Trust and Safety Council are dismissed. Musk then tweets that, quote, "My pronouns are prosecute Fauci," a reference to a conspiracy theory that the COVID crisis was exacerbated by America's top infectious disease doctor. December 16th, having claimed he's a free speech absolutist, Musk bans @ElonJet, a Twitter account that tracks the movements of his private jet using publicly available data. Musk also bans the accounts of a number of journalists who have written about @ElonJet. February 12th, 2023. Ahead of the Super Bowl, both Musk and President Joe Biden tweet their support for the Philadelphia Eagles. Biden's tweet is seen 29 million times, Musk's just 9 million times. Incensed, Musk leaves the game early and calls an impromptu meeting of Twitter engineers at 2:36 a.m. Their job? To change the Twitter algorithm to artificially inflate the reach of Musk's tweets by a factor of 1,000, making him the preeminent presence on the site. July 23rd, Musk announces Twitter is now called X. August 25th, Donald Trump, once banned, returns to the platform by posting a picture of his mugshot from Fulton County Jail with the words, "Election interference, never surrender." Musk reposts the shot. 4 days later, X reverses Twitter's long-standing ban on paid political advertising. November 15th, in a post promoting the racist conspiracy theory that Jewish people are importing immigrants to America to fix elections for Democrats, one X user writes, "Jewish communities have been pushing the exact kind of dialectical hatred against whites that they claim to want people to stop using against them." Musk replies saying, "You have said the actual truth." In response, several advertisers, including Disney, Warner Brothers, and Comcast, paused their advertising on X. Musk then tells advertisers concerned by hate speech on the platform,
"Go fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself."
I have to say something. They don't mention it here, but it would have been fair to mention it if this wasn't just a hit piece. Is that after he answered that thing with, the immigrants, whenever they were talking about, he was just pointing out that there's some kind of, sometimes you have these type of organizations that he was specifically referring to, I think like the ADL, that he felt that they've overstepped and they do stuff like this. So he kind of clarified in an additional comment exactly what he meant. And not that it helped him, because they were all running with this story that they were framing him as whatever these guys framed him as. But then what happened is that, I think he's made enough of an effort to show that and explain that it's not what he meant. And, I personally, when I look at it, I don't think that's what he had in mind. I mean, I've seen other even Jewish figures say that they've have experience interacting with him and doing things with him, and they don't see him in that light. Perhaps, like with the other thing, perhaps he could have given a bit more thought to the way he responded. It was a quick kind of off the cuff answer, and given what was said there, without that kind of clarification that came a few minutes later, he was sort of giving ammo to people to do exactly this thing. And that's why all these companies seized on that. But I don't think that companies like Disney operate exactly in good faith. Meaning, there's a lot of stuff that happens on Facebook, but I didn't see them stopping their advertising there. I think it was very much a targeted thing against Elon Musk, which they were all kind of colluding and coordinating together to do.
Yeah.
Basically, I think that they've also pushed him into these corners, and some of their behavior, what was, basically they didn't like that he took over this platform, and they wanted the platform to fail, and they seemingly found quote unquote legitimate reasons for why they're doing all these activities to harm his company. But in reality, it wasn't that they were all full of ideals and morals. They weren't doing it because they care about something. They were doing it because they felt that they were losing control of the narrative, because the previous regime, I mean, take a company like Disney, and this I can say from my own experience. I would criticize movies from that studio, and my tweets would be shadow banned. And in some cases, not only involving me but other people, I think that I have a reasonable case to show that they interfered similarly to what they did with the Twitter files and and Biden and all those kind of things that they wanted to change narratives. Disney, seemingly, in my opinion at least, had that kind of relationship with Twitter that they would call them and say, we don't want people to talk negatively about this movie. Change the hashtag. Make this hashtag disappear. If it's like The Last Jedi awful, The Last Jedi awful disappears. I don't know if you guys remember that, but that actually was a thing.
I don't doubt it. They could easily prove that.
I'll give you an example. What happened is that people were saying that, like, I remember this very well. People may not remember this now. For example, when Rise of Skywalker came out and people were saying that it's like a terrible movie, suddenly what Twitter used to have at the time is that if you clicked on a hashtag, they give you like another headline that sort of frames the conversation for you. So you'd click, let's say, on The Last Jedi or whatever it is, and then it would say on top, people on Twitter are now discussing which Star Wars movie they like more, The Rise of Skywalker or The Last Jedi. It's not even what people were discussing. People were saying that movie was a piece of shit. But in order for the conversation to be framed differently, suddenly you'd have these like headlines that basically Twitter is giving you a headline as if they're a newspaper.
Yeah.
Meaning they were pretending to be some kind of social media site where they're like the town square, but at the same time, they were basically telling you what the story is. In addition, what would happen is instead of, if there's a story you want to learn more about, you'd click on it and it would take you to sort of a thread by the New York Times. Do you guys remember this?
Vaguely. It's been a while.
Yeah, vaguely.
Professor, there would be like a whole long thread that it's like the New York Times, and like all the tweets in that thread would again say like the New York Times, and they would give you're not learning about the story from people. If they want to control the narrative, the people giving them the story are the New York Times. And it was the same way with Disney and their movies and their failures and all this kind of woke stuff that people were complaining, and they were just controlling the narrative. So the fact that all these people would get annoyed and want Elon Musk to fail, it's not happening just in a vacuum. There's more to it than that. And I feel like this whole video just kind of skips over that whole idea.
This
fair?
video.
Over subsequent months.
What'd you say?
This video feels a lot like whenever the rewriting Ripley crap came out, and those people were trying to frame a bunch of YouTubers as
but this is
and
more well done. I agree with you. This is like rewriting Ripley, but this is more professionally done. Rewriting Ripley, they talk on their podcast for like 7 hours. It's like, I dare you to stay awake and even listen to the nonsense they're talking about. This is like a 9-minute video that somebody very carefully edited and crafted, and it's a lot more professionally done, in my opinion.
Musk will become obsessed with the false claim that Democrats are allowing immigrants into America to create more Democratic voters, in effect, stealing the coming election, sharing the claim numerous times with his followers and pushing it to tens of millions more who choose not to follow him. A year later, it will be revealed that Musk, a South African immigrant, worked illegally in the US in the 1990s. November 25th, on X, Musk boosts the Pizzagate conspiracy theory, a long-debunked claim alleging high-profile Democrats ran a pedophile abuse ring from a Washington pizza restaurant. March 25th, 2024. Musk loses a lawsuit against the Center for Countering Digital Hate. He'd sued them after they flagged a rise in hate speech after Musk bought Twitter. In his ruling, a U.S. district judge calls Musk's case vapid and says this case is about punishing the defendants for their speech. May 2024, Musk creates a political action committee which he calls America PAC. Its objective is to mobilize 1 million Republican voters in swing states in an effort to hand the election to Trump. Musk commits to putting tens of millions of dollars of his own money into the Get Out the Vote push and clears his calendar every Friday morning for 30 to 60 minutes to meet with the team he's assembled to run the effort. July 14th, Musk calls Trump on behalf of J.D. Vance, urging Trump to select Vance as his running mate. Vance says abortion is murder and insults women who haven't become mothers.
A bunch of childless cat ladies who are miserable at their own lives and the choices that they've made.
Musk's phone call is part of a broad effort by Silicon Valley billionaires to ensure Vance is selected. The next day, Vance is unveiled as Trump's vice presidential candidate. September 6th, Trump says that if he wins, he will appoint Musk to head up a government efficiency commission.
And Elon, because he's not very busy, has agreed to head that task force.
The idea came from Musk, whose companies are currently facing at least 20 federal investigations. If he gets the role, it would give the world's richest man the power to regulate the regulators who hold sway over his companies. Last year alone, his companies were promised $3 billion across nearly 100 different contracts with 17 federal agencies. September 9th, Musk spreads a conspiracy theory that immigrants in Ohio are eating people's pets. The following day, Trump repeats the slur during the presidential debate with Kamala Harris.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs.
The false claim leads to multiple.
I just want to say something that even though that thing that he said with the cats and the dogs seemed like it's bonkers, there are cultures that do that. Meaning there are places in the world, it's not a matter of, oh, you're an Islamophobe. There are cultures and countries outside of the U.S. that whatever their reality is there, is that for them eating, maybe something like that is something that's considered acceptable. When you drop a lot of people from a different country, from a country that's more acceptable, and you suddenly just like drop them overnight in some place here, they may not even be familiar with local customs and rules, and maybe to them, they think that something like that is okay. So I'm just saying that even though maybe the way he spoke, Trump, the way he said it, comes off as, almost comical, it's not that there's nothing. He usually has a way of expressing himself that sometimes kind of comes off as a bit far out, or I don't know how to explain it, but it's not that there was no kernel of truth in the idea that people from, a third world country or something like that would do something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've traveled. I went to places, in the Far East and things like that. And there's certain places that I went to and people told me, or maybe other travelers or people that knew where I was traveling. And they said, if somebody comes up to you and says, hey, do you want like a chicken sandwich? You're going to say no, because we don't think that there's chickens around here. Seriously, that's something really that happened to me. And it's not a matter of like I sat around and said, oh, you're a bunch of Istanphobes. How dare you say that to me? No, I listened to what they said. I figured if somebody offers me a chicken sandwich, I better not eat it. And indeed, when I went like, to places and they're like, oh, we got like a vegetable this, vegetable that, and like a chicken sandwich, then I didn't touch the chicken. I mean, sometimes you just got to.
It just reminds me of the that scene from Demolition Man. Like, do you see any cows around here?
No, but that's exactly like it. By the way, when I was in Thailand years ago, I don't know what it's like today, but I can say that years ago I went and I would walk around, especially I think I was in Bangkok, I walked around and there were tons of like rats like walking around in these kind of streets and alleys and whatever. And then you'd have these kind of vendors that were serving something that to me looked like rat on a stick. And it's not like they were hiding and it was some kind of secret. They were happy people in the middle of the street. They had like rats on a stick and they were so happy to sell that. Like if you wanted rat on a stick, you got it. And they're not like hiding. It's not like the police aren't there arresting. Like nobody cares. They're all eating. They're selling the rat on a stick, and there's people in the middle of the street eating the rat on a stick. And I'm standing there thinking to myself, this is like the worst. This is like the worst thing I've ever seen. So really, when I see a reality like that, to think that it can't be that somebody from a different culture would do that, I think that that's just. It's part of what happens with the Western media, that they're so kind of in their own world that they rarely kind of step out and think of what's happening or what the culture is like somewhere else.
Well, if
Yeah.
it doesn't fit what argument someone wants, they'll ignore all logic around it.
And another in that video, it's so disingenuous. They're like, "Oh, Elon Musk is getting $3 billion of taxpayer money every year." No, guess what's getting $3 billion?
It's the Phobos.
SpaceX.
It's just before I forget. It's the Phobos. I had a rat on a stick in Bangkok. I hope you
Oh,
didn't.
jeez.
Sorry, Professor.
Oh,
Go
wow.
on. I just had to.
No, I was just saying, yeah. Who's getting $3 billion? SpaceX. Why is SpaceX getting $3 billion? Because they're the only company in the United States that can do what they do. NASA is absolutely failed. Boeing has absolutely failed. There are other smaller space launch companies that are out there that can do small space launches. There's Blue Origin. They can do some small launches, but nobody has been able to do what SpaceX has made happen with their space launch system that they can reuse parts of that, 16, 17 times, where they're able to save money. They're not just literally shooting, millions of dollars into space and then throwing it all away. They're bringing those boosters back down and they're reusing them. They've got a space launch system for people to get, not just cargo, not just satellites, but get people up to the space station. SpaceX is the only one that's been able to do it reliably. That's why they're getting money. They're being paid because NASA can't do anything otherwise. This isn't a gift from the federal government. They're not just giving them money to keep SpaceX
Right.
afloat.
I mean,
They are literally providing a service that no one else has been able to do reliably.
just an
Period.
example that recently when they had those astronauts that were stuck and the only person that could fix that problem was Elon Musk. I mean, like him or not, he's also a guy that brings results. He didn't just, the way this video presents it, like one day he woke up and suddenly had like $300 billion. That is not the case. I think that he's done enough to show that he has like a certain vision and that people actually use his products, need, his expertise is worth something. And when it comes to all this space stuff, he's really kind of revolutionized a lot of things. It's not like he's some bum that's just kind of freeloading, I think.
Did those astronauts finally get rescued?
Yes.
Yeah, by him.
They came back down in a Dragon capsule. Yeah. And
I forgot about them. I was like, are they still up there?
They had to send the Boeing craft back down without anyone in it.
Wow.
By the way, there's another thing as to Phobos said, Price of Reason Live. I did. It's a funny story. It was one of the tastiest things I've eaten, but when I realized it was a rat, I threw up everywhere.
Oh, God.
That is terrible. I mean, I just between you and me, I saw that rat on a stick. I couldn't imagine it would be anything else but a rat. But I understand.
My friend had a similar story when he went to Japan, and he just got some random meat from a vendor on the side, like on the street or whatever. And he was like, it was so good. I had to run back there, and the guy was laughing at him. I guess he's like so excited to get more. He's like, it was probably a rat, but I did not effing care.
So Captain Have Fun says, my wife is from China, and she confirms that people in China eat all sorts of crazy food. Scorpions on a stick.
Do.
She said she's seen dog meat being barbecue. I mean, again, it's different cultures. I think that our culture, we're not into that kind of thing. And I would hope that other cultures wouldn't be either. But all I'm trying to say is that the way he maybe presented it, the way he's like, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs. It's kind of comical and funny, and it's totally on brand for Trump's kind of bonkers way of talking. But it's not that he was saying something that completely was unfounded. He just maybe went about saying it in a way that was used comically. At the end, though, it didn't really matter. I think that people actually heard it and took it seriously more than this mainstream media would like you to hear. But back to this weird video that was made here. Let's see.
Multiple bomb threats against the Springfield immigrant community, September 15th and 16th. Over a single weekend, Musk amplifies a conspiracy theory that ABC leaked sample debate questions to the Harris campaign, falsely claims that the Dems want to take your kids, further fuels racist lies about immigrants eating pets, shares with his nearly 200 million followers on X that Trump must win to, quote, preserve freedom and meritocracy in America, and insinuates that it is suspicious that no one is even trying to assassinate Biden and Kamala, adding a thinking face emoji. The U.S. Secret Service confirms that it is aware of the post.
Wait.
The White House
Wait, hold
issues
on,
a
let me
statement saying
stop.
violence should only be
Okay. I mean,
They're-
what he was
they're
trying to
upset that he mentioned the actual fact that nobody had tried to assassinate Biden or Kamala.
right. I don't think he was
And there
saying
were
that in the sense that he
two
wanted that to
potentially-
happen. I
Two,
think that
potentially 3 attempts on Trump, but we're going to just mentioning that there haven't been attempts on them. That's some kind of call for violence or something. What?
basically, he's looked at in a with this kind of magnifying glass, just like that thing with the ADL that he said that he didn't like them, and immediately it became that he is, an Islamophobe. Here in this case, he was basically saying, I don't think he meant that he wanted somebody to attack these guys. I think he was saying that it's just strange that Trump gets attacked every second, and there's all these attempts on his life, yet nobody seems to care, feel that way about Kamala or Biden.
Yeah, and then they're upset they're upset that he tweeted out that we needed to elect Donald Trump to save democracy, when quite literally every last person on the mainstream media has said that in the other direction.
Right, that
Has
he's
said
a
that
threat to
we
democracy.
have to elect Kamala Harris to save democracy. So, but he's the bad guy because he said that about Trump. That's just hilarious.
I assume that I think that sometimes Elon Musk, even as smart as he is, he kind of quickly does a quick response. He's doing 7 things at the same time, 70 things at the same time. He's running all these companies and doing these things. And maybe there was a way to
Diablo so he can stay ranked in the top 20 or whatever.
right. I mean, I assume that he probably could have worded this comment in a different way, but even as is, I don't think that that's what he meant. That's not the impression I got when I saw it. And the fact that this continues to sort of do this hit piece is kind of strange. But let's see what else they say.
condemned, never encouraged, or joked about. This rhetoric is irresponsible. October 4th, Musk posts, unless Trump wins and we get rid of the mountain of smothering regulations that have nothing to do with safety, humanity will never reach Mars. This is existential. Musk is the owner of SpaceX and stands to make billions from US government space contracts. October 5th, the user handle @America is taken from an ex-user and given by Musk to his America PAC. That evening, he joins the former president on stage in Pennsylvania, jumping about wildly.
Fight, 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 vote, vote, vote.
By now, he's moved with his senior team to a war room in a hotel in Pennsylvania to focus full-time on the Trump campaign. He speaks to Trump multiple times a week, is doing a series of pro-Trump town halls across the state.
I mean, I have to say here, she had every single Hollywood celebrity you can think of pretty much, she had in her corner, showing up, talking about her, doing advertisement, doing Zoom calls, clearing their schedule to peddle her, her as a candidate.
Yeah.
If he had Elon Musk and Elon Musk wanted to help him campaign in Pennsylvania, that's his right. I mean, you can't have it both ways. If all of the stuff that she did and the people that she had around her and she had so much support from public figures, if that all is above board, then I don't really understand what's wrong with what he's doing. They keep saying, oh, well, he stands to get contracts from the government. This isn't a guy that didn't have contracts. He already had contracts with the government. It's not like he came off the street and now he wants to suddenly have a contract with the government, correct?
Yeah.
I'm waiting
mean,
for them to accuse him of wanting to take over Mars.
Probably in a second. But Professor,
Make Mars great again.
What do you think? What do you think about this? Is this not a bit disingenuous? This whole situation here.
Oh, it's extremely disingenuous. I mean, it's the typical thing that you see in a lot of these types of hit pieces, quote unquote documentaries. It's cherry picking lots of different things and showing them, what we're going to show this thing happen next to this thing that happens to imply that this caused that, or this, what was responsible for that, where these two events could be completely unconnected, but they, it's very, very common. You've seen this.
They're implying that they're projecting this in his headquarters, but I don't think they are. I think this is just them doing this on the computer. It's edited in a very kind of slick way. This is kind of slick. You know what I mean? It's some thought went into it. I'll give them that. Somebody with like a propaganda mind went and put this together, but it also comes off as
I'm laughing at We I Lamb 03 here.
What did he say?
There it is at the bottom.
Oh, okay.
He's a colonizer trying to colonize
Colonizer trying to colonize Mars. Yeah, so something like that. Let's see where else this thing leads to. But is this not a wacky thing that I'm showing you?
Oh yeah.
Well, it's like any single thing that you can say, someone will nitpick and take the wrong way purposefully.
I mean, it already has like 4 million views apparently, so it's not like, and it came out now in the past few days. I guess it's making the rounds. I don't know.
He could say water's wet, and they'll find a way to make that racist or like a power grab or something.
Totally. Let's see.
And has recruited lieutenants from his companies to join him. October 15th, legal filings from Musk's Political Action Committee show he has personally donated at least $75 million to the effort to re-elect Trump. October 18th.
I mean, doesn't Kamala have that like Soros family guy? Don't they contribute a lot of stuff to her?
There's a lot of people who've contributed a ton to different political action committees on the left.
Right, but that one is like a big
enormous
donor.
amounts.
That one is like a big billionaire donor. It doesn't matter how you feel about them or not. I'm saying it's not like she was sitting around and people gave her like an envelope with $3, and that was like her whole war chest. She gathered so much money, and people don't even know where the money is now. They're like,
that's the thing. Her campaign, that was one thing that's been talked about just ad nauseum at this point, that it has been repeated for, the past 100 years, but it's money that wins elections. And she had more money than Donald Trump in her campaign, and more different PACs and stuff like that, kicking in money left and right for different stuff by a factor of like 10. She had so much money, and they were giving it out like candy. How they paid Oprah $1 million. Sorry. No, she didn't get paid that. Her production company got paid that. Whatever.
Right.
I don't care. As if she has no interest in her own production company, right?
She's like, I got brand new Honolulu property. What do I need your $1 million for?
Yeah, exactly. But it's if they were throwing money out left and right. We know that they were paying influencers, $25,000 a piece to kick in stuff and do endorsements. So they were probably paying Hollywood stars huge sums of money. I mean, it's absurd. And just he put in 75 million. First of all, for this guy, 75 million literally could have fallen out of his wallet. It just fallen out of his pocket when he bent over, accidentally. That's not a whole lot, especially considering it was like 75 million. Okay, she had her campaign alone, not all the other PACs and everything, had $1 billion.
Had $1 billion. There was so much money. I really don't think that they're in a position to criticize the money on the other end, because of how, and this is even Democrats saying on their more left-leaning media things, that people are kind of confused as to where all that money went. So I don't know how this became a thing. I think that Elon, he's allowed to donate this money, so I don't really know what they want, but let me just see.
It's revealed that another Musk-funded group called Future Coalition PAC is targeting Muslim voters in Michigan and Jewish voters in Pennsylvania with diametrically opposed political advertisements about Kamala Harris. In areas with large Muslim populations, the group is painting Harris as a close friend of Israel and is suggesting that she's beholden to the beliefs of her Jewish husband. But in areas with large Jewish populations, the ads say Harris panders to Palestine. Simultaneously, Musk is offering $100 to any Pennsylvania voter who signs his online petition as part of...
Regarding those ads, I just have no reference. I've never seen them, and I don't know what it is. If you guys know anything about that, you can say it, but I don't really know.
No idea.
I don't really know anything about the ads.
Also, she said that he was had another PAC, but she didn't say what that PAC was. So I feel like even here, when they give the explanation, it's kind of vague. Meaning they're trying to make a point here, but it's kind of vague. If it's not the America PAC doing it, how do they know it's his PAC exactly? He has other PACs. I didn't know that he had other ones.
I have no idea.
Of an effort to build a list of likely Trump voters. He also starts giving away $1 million a day to a randomly chosen voter who signed the petition. October 19th, it's revealed that the Building America...
I mean,
Did I
again,
miss out on something?
You didn't hear about that?
No.
Yeah, so it
Where
was
can
only
I sign?
it was only for people in the battleground states. But yeah, he was giving away $1 million a day. People were furious about this. There were people in Pennsylvania. They were trying to shut him down, saying he was operating an illegal lottery and all sorts of stuff. It was fascinating.
they weren't able to do anything, though. He gave away his thing. I mean, basically, he just made them sign a petition that they're for freedom of speech and they're going to vote or something. I don't know what it was, but I guess people were willing to sign that. It probably is a gray area, but I assume that if he did it, he knew in advance that he could do it.
Yeah.
Let's see what else they say.
His Future PAC, another Musk-funded campaign group, is impersonating the Harris campaign by setting up a fake website containing fake policy positions, then sending out text messages driving voters to the fake site. October 24th, it's revealed that Musk gave his America PAC a further
Again, these things that they keep saying, like he has other secret PACs, I don't really know anything about it. Is this like this video goes by so quickly that they're not actually showing how they've reached that conclusion? They're just saying it as if it's a fact, but I'm not sure if it is. I'm not saying that it isn't. I'm just saying that like they're so quick to just gloss over this that I wonder what's true and what's not at this point.
$44 million in the first 16 days of October. October 25th, the Wall Street Journal reports that Musk has been in regular contact with Russian President Vladimir Putin since 2022. October 27th, Musk speaks at the now infamous Trump rally at Madison Square Garden, a gathering characterized by racism, misogyny, and threats of violence.
Oh my God.
USA.
You want to talk about
by who though? This is another one of those situations. It's the same thing that she's like, well, he has a secret PAC and he did all of this. It's like, okay, but this is like one of those source dude, trust me, bro situations. The same thing here. They're like, he was at a rally. The rally was misogynist and and phobe and whatever. And it's like,
yeah,
in the eyes of who? You know what I mean? Like, why? Because, and they're so quick to just show images. And like I said, but the part that's that I will say that it's pretty well put together as a propaganda video. It's pretty well put together, and I wonder who really put this together. It seems very thought out.
Musk has posted more than 3,000 times on X in the last month, including dozens of unfounded claims about the election, which have been viewed hundreds of millions of times. Apart from Trump himself, Musk is now the single biggest spreader of election disinformation. November 5th, Trump wins the presidential election. Elon Musk, a far-right conspiracy theorist, has succeeded in using his immense wealth to help swing the election in favor of a convicted felon.
They're going to be so mad when those felony convictions are overturned.
Right, and I'll try to find a few others. So this is the kind of thing now, and the reason why I showed this video is that I really feel like this is the type of directives that all that kind of mainstream media have downloaded. Like this is their do you get what I'm trying to say? Sometimes there's a situation where like they all start like spouting the same thing. I feel like this is what they're all going with now.
Yeah, that's so funny. Oh, she's tweeted 3,000 times this month. Yeah, that's every month. I'm not sure where you've been living, but it's one of the reasons he bought Twitter was because he didn't want to be stopped from tweeting constantly.
Mark D with the C says, I was at the MSG rally. What the heck is she talking about? But that's the thing.
Oh, yeah.
They don't need to explain what they're saying. They just kind of say some nonsense and just they don't care, I guess.
Oh, they get it's nuts. I mean, they're constantly talking about the rally there at Madison Square Garden being some sort of racist gathering and calling everyone there Yahtzees and stuff, when quite literally there were, just watching on television, I saw at 5 or 6 Israeli flags. the speakers that were there, when there was, the speakers who were black, speakers who were Indian,
At the end, at the end
and
of the day, and this is
you
the part
know,
that I think that a lot of these, publications, mainstream media outlets, or whatever, are having a hard time reconciling is that Trump got a lot of voices from a lot of different groups. He got voices from, from the Latino Latin community, Latinos. It got a lot of those. White people and white women. He certainly got that. Even black men, higher than expected, voted for him. In addition, you had like different communities that were predominantly Jewish or something that I saw that voted for him. So he somehow managed to get a lot of support from a lot of different groups. And it goes against the narrative. His win is really bothering people, in the mainstream media, because it goes against their narrative. Their narrative was he's an Islamophobe, and he hates women, and how could you possibly vote for him? And suddenly, in every one of these groups, he seemed to be really, had an edge over Harris and everything.
yeah,
Their narratives just didn't work here. And this hit piece on Elon, there are certain things that they could have made arguments or talked about, but I feel like it's very carefully crafted to, push a very specific narrative. I'm not saying I don't know Elon Musk. I'm not saying I don't know if he's a perfect person. And again,
oh no, he's got his flaws. I mean,
everybody does.
everyone does, right? Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, he's not a perfect person. I mean, obviously, neither is Trump. That's a politician. This is a businessman. They don't get to the kind of positions that they got to just by singing "Kumbaya" all day. And I'm sure that almost anybody in these type of positions that research long enough or look into with a magnifying glass, you'll be able to find some kind of error or mistake or something that they made that may not put them in the best light. And again, I don't know either of them, and it's not that I'm vouching and saying that everything they've done is great. At the same time, if you're going to do a critique, I think it should be something that's less propaganda-ish. But maybe whoever made this movie, this video, had a very specific goal. Already 4 million people watched it, as I said. So whoever made it, got some of the benefits. And now we also see that, like, it goes beyond this video that we saw here in the mainstream media. It's now going also to even Hollywood celebrities or public figures. So today we had a few of these. Let me see if I can find, let me see if I can find it. It started this morning with this guy. Let me see if I can find it. Oh, he already deleted it. Don Lemon had that thing.
Oh yeah. Oh
I
geez.
can't find it now. Like, I guess he really did delete his account.
Why do these self-centered, self-important, these twerps have to go tell it? Oh, I'm leaving X. I'm leaving now.
The funny thing is, because he shut down the thing, I
now.
can't even find his announcement now. But his announcements is ridiculous.
It's just absurd. Yeah, and he's not the only one either. There's a bunch. Who else did I see earlier today? People announcing they were leaving X.
Jamie Lee Curtis.
That was the other one.
Let me see if I can find it.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Oh, I'm leaving X. And then there was, and of course, we also have all these stars that are leaving, going to leave the U.S.
Eva Longoria said she was going to leave the U.S.
Oh, she said she already has. Yeah, and it's a dystopia.
I think these people are just dumb, in my opinion. First of all, okay, so Jamie Lee Curtis and Don Lemon quit X after Elon Musk joins Donald Trump's cabinet. Now, as far as Don Lemon goes, I've never really taken this guy seriously. I've always thought that he was just kind of like a, run-of-the-mill, whatever they do on CNN, which I don't really, I'm not a big fan of usually. I was not a fan of his work or what he did there. He always seemed like just kind of a run-of-the-mill, kind of very, generic reporter that pushes the regular narrative. And he got an opportunity from Elon Musk and he blew it. I mean, if you remember that whole situation.
Yeah, I do. Yep. Oh, we can't hear that. Oh, the video is muted. Yeah.
Oh wait, you know what? Let's see. I want to keep watching this. Let's see. Can I?
Speech.
There we
But
go.
I now feel it does not serve. But hi everyone. I have loved connecting with all of you on Twitter and then on X for all of these
Could you hear it,
Mhm.
Professor?
Yeah, you can hear it.
You can hear it.
years.
Yep.
But it's time for me to leave the platform. I once believed that it was a place for honest debate and discussion, transparency and free speech. But I now feel it does not serve that purpose. In addition, starting this Friday, November 15th, X is implementing new terms of service, which among other things states that, quote, all disputes be brought exclusively in the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Texas or state courts located in Tarrant County, Texas, end quote. The full terms of service can be found on my written statement or on the X website. Now, as the Washington Post recently reported on X's decision to change the terms, this, quote, ensures that such lawsuits will be heard in courthouses that are a hub for conservatives, which experts say could make it easier for X to shield itself from litigation and punish critics. I think that speaks for itself. You can find me on YouTube at...
I mean, why does it speak for itself when you have these kind of companies that are all in Silicon Valley and they have everything with like the state of California and San Diego? So that's okay because that's politics that he agrees with. So because the company is in Texas, that's now bad. There's something kind of, you know, if it almost feels like he was just putting that in there to make it seem like he has reasons for leaving, but really it just seems like he's salty. And I think
Oh,
he's
yeah.
still salty from the time that he thought that Elon
Oh.
Musk would pay him like $5 million. And it ended up that Elon Musk, he had a chance to interview him. He started asking him about what medications his doctor gave him to take and was being a real dick about it. I mean, at that time, Don Lemon, you know, he could have pressed Elon on a lot of questions, and I think that he probably would have let it slide. There was a part, do you remember that interview where he said to Elon, what kind of medications you take? Like, did a psychiatrist give you a medication? What medication did he give you? And then he mentioned something that I guess is like some pills that his psychiatrist, I don't remember the details, but I remember that there was something that he said, which he didn't have to even answer that question, and he actually answered it. And then Don Lemon started saying, well, aren't you worried? Like, aren't your investors worried that you're taking this medication? How can you even run these companies? Like, how are you taking this medication and running companies? And I think that, like, when I saw Elon Musk's face when he asked that, I thought to myself, that's it. This guy, because he didn't immediately fire him. You know, he actually, first of all, did that interview, and then suddenly he released an announcement that he doesn't want to do business with him. Do you remember all of that?
Yeah, I mean, I remember some of it's been quite some time since I did watch, I think, most of that interview. That was earlier this year, right? That was like back in February or March or something when Don Lemon was going to go.
He was being super annoying in the interview. I feel.
Oh no, he was a complete jerk. He was being really nasty. It's like, seriously, you think this guy was going to give you a job after this?
Right. I mean, it's like, what do you think? Like, why would somebody that's going to hire you want you to sit and talk this way to him? But I still think that Elon Musk would have probably let all of that slide and still worked with him, if not for the part that he was telling him what medication his doctors gave him. And now that his investors should be worried because, like, how is Elon Musk taking this medication and also running a company? I feel like that's the part where he crossed the line somehow.
Yeah.
In any case, let's hear. So this guy now is pretending to be some kind of morals ideal man.
The Don Lemon Show, or on TikTok and Facebook at Don Lemon, and on Instagram and Blue Sky at Don Lemon Official. I hope you will join me there. Thanks.
I got news for you.
Yeah, nobody cares about this guy and this stupid thing. And this has nothing to do with Elon Musk. I think he's just annoying, like Don Lemon. I think that Don Lemon thinks he's a bigger deal than he is. You know, at least when it comes to Jamie Lee Curtis, you know, I have grown up and seen her in movies and liked her. I didn't have a generally negative opinion about her. I think that this is feels kind of, you know, I think this feels kind of childish and stupid. It doesn't help
Yeah.
put her in a good light. You know, somebody was right. I don't know if Elon said it or one of those other people said it, that X is not an airport. You don't have to announce when you're departing. And whoever said that, if it was him or somebody else, I totally agree with that. You don't want to be on there, just don't be on it. I mean, once there was something that I felt that I kind of had an overload, and then I stepped away from Twitter. At the time, it was Twitter for like a week, and I didn't post, and then I came back after a week, and I didn't go around and, you know, I didn't bother everybody about it every 5 minutes. You know what I mean? To be fair, at that time, I think that maybe I'm going to be fair. I said maybe for a few days I'm going to kind of be away, and I came back, but I didn't give like a whole speech like Don Lemon. You know what I mean? I don't even think people knew why I was away and not. And in any case, I never said that I was leaving permanently either. I guess what I'm saying is this is just stupid. You could just not tweet anything, or you look worse for doing this. You know how you look.
It's so conspicuous, right? It's like, oh, look at me. So you don't want to leave, just leave. You don't have to be like, oh, I'm leaving, and so you're all gonna miss me, right? I mean, it's so ridiculous.
I think that,
and Don Lemon, oh God, I mean, I cannot stand that guy. I'm sorry, I cannot stand him. He is so disingenuous. He is just so two-faced. This is the guy who talked about how, oh, it's so wrong to demonize any one group and ethnicity, and then turned around on his show on CNN and said that the biggest terror threat in our country is white men, and then married a white man. I mean, he's a complete twerp.
by the way, there's somebody in the chat called Skyfire, and Skyfire was on the Transformers, I believe.
Skyfire's a buddy of mine.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there was Skyfire. Wasn't he the one that he was like an old Decepticon that they found him and
Oh gosh,
they
I
turned
don't
him into an
remember,
Autobot,
actually.
but could be wrong. And then yeah. By the way, if people
Oh yeah,
are watching
Skyfire.
this,
Yeah, Skyfire was the one that the original action figure in the US was actually a stolen mold. That was the one that was or was that Jetfire? I can't remember. One of them was the one that it was actually the Macross transforming plane, whatever, from Japan, and they like stole it and then made it into a transformer. And then there was like a whole lawsuit about it because they had just stolen the exact same thing from Macross and just turned it into a transformer.
I see.
Yeah.
I didn't know the details. Are you sure they stole?
Yeah, if I remember correctly, that was exactly what happened. They had the original one was made in Japan. Let's see, Jetfire is created from the same mold as the Super Valkyrie from the Macross series. Yeah, and then if I remember correctly, there was something that had to do with a lawsuit or something because of them taking that mold. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to highlight this. Oh, I think it's actually a Rumble rant. I'm sorry, it's more than
Yeah.
highlight. I wanted
Yeah,
to
Rumble Rant for
also thank you,
$5.
Kivo 1961. Thank you so much. This is really nice of you. Lemon also wanted a percentage of X, access to his jet, and sit on the board, and that's true. And I wonder if now, if Don Lemon actually had all that money and this jet and the seat on the board, if he'd resign now, or he's just, he's doing this because he's still salty. And I would say that he's probably still salty.
He seems like the kind of guy who holds a grudge.
He probably does. And he probably thought to himself, if I do this now, it'll cause a big splash. But I don't think that it's the splash that he thinks it'll cost. And as far as Jamie Lee Curtis goes, I mean, I really like her in movies like Halloween. I liked her in Trading Places, True Lies. She's an actress that I grew up watching her in movies, and I really didn't have anything personal against her. I understand that her politics are the way they are. She also has a child that was maybe born one gender and now could be another gender type of situation. So I know that some of these things are sensitive to her. But the interesting thing is that until Trump won, I didn't see all these celebrities leaving. they're like, oh no, he won. Like, look at what Elon Musk did. I'm leaving. It's like, you know, it almost feels like either a passive aggressive, or I don't know what word I'm looking for to describe it, but kind of like when a kid loses, in a game and he gets up and throws all the toys all over the place and gets upset.
Tantrum.
Yep.
Hey, Sean, you're back.
Yeah.
He has returned. Somehow, Sean Crummell returned.
It's the second time that gets used today.
And I guess Jamie Lee Curtis has this. Was this like a Kamala thing? I'm speaking. Was that like her thing?
Yes, and it's so dismissive and nasty. It's like, can I finish? I'm speaking. Like, ugh, gross.
I love how like Don Lemon had this stationery and like had this picture of him with a microphone. It's like DL. This is so. It's almost like a parody. I don't know why this is almost like a parody that's unintentionally funny, and I don't quite know why.
Yeah, the whole I'm speaking thing. Kamala has done that in a few different debates and stuff, and then Trump threw it in her face in their debate. That was pretty funny.
I'm taking my ball and going home.
Yep.
Yeah, and Jimmy Nature says, I always cheered for Michael Myers anyways. YouTube 429 error made me unable to load YouTube like I'm offline. Don't really know what that means, but happy you're here with us. And of course, if you're watching this, then please make sure to like and, whatever platform you're on. I know, first of all, we're on Rumble, and Rumble, that's like our home base for this show. So if you're watching us on Rumble, this is our hangout here. Even though it's on other platforms, like our home base is Rumble. And if you're on Rumble, then make sure that you like and you can drop some comments and participate in the chat. I know some people, they're watching through an app, and some people maybe they're not signed up. They just kind of watch and don't really participate. And that's fine. We always appreciate anybody that's watching, of course. But if you feel like it, Rumble is a really fun and great platform that supports freedom of speech. And if you're interested and you enjoy watching this stream, then you should definitely sign up and engage in some liking and following and all this other stuff. Just a recommendation, of course. And of course, if you're on other platforms, you're also welcome to follow and subscribe and like and all that good stuff. And not just to me, but also to these fine gentlemen that are here with me. You have Professor R2. He has a channel on Rumble. He's also on X. If you guys want to drop links, you can do that. I don't really know how to do it, but one of you knows how to do it. And then you have Sean Crummell, and Sean Crummell, he has his own comics now that he sells, and you can find that at crumbscomics.com. He's doing some really, really cool stuff. I highly recommend it.
Thanks.
Oh, so yes.
Was that the Don Lemon thing where he's like, I quit Twitter, and then he still has a thing like 16 hours later or something?
I think he finally removed it because people were making fun of him. But yeah, it's like, who writes an announcement and then says they're going to leave and then stays around so he can read the people's responses to his announcement?
I think
it's the same type of people who block you and then unblock you so that they can send you some nasty comment and then block you again.
Like Forbes quote-unquote journalist Paul Tassi, who did that to me. Yes. Blocked me, had a meltdown, blocked me. Then, I put this whole post about how he had a meltdown and blocked me. And then I never blocked him. So I guess he was able to see my tweet. And then he saw it and he came and he unblocked me and he said, I'm unblocking you because you've annoyed me and I want you to know that you annoyed me. I'm like, okay. What am I even supposed to do with that information? So, just a lot of childish behavior. Another thing that we saw is that this is just funny. I don't know if I can find it. Give me a second. I'm trying to find this. Of course, this is funny. Let's I have to share this. So I guess Whoopi
Are you
Goldberg.
sure it's funny? It better be funny.
I think it's funny.
Don't overpromise and underdeliver. Better
Set
be funny.
phasers to laugh.
Oh God.
Okay, can you hear it?
Yes.
We all came. I dare. Yeah, you didn't get here by yourself, man. You can't do this without us. And if we don't let you, you don't get any. It's that simple. It's that simple. This. We all came.
What is she talking about?
Basically, she's joining the women that want to have
yeah.
the 4B women or whatever they're called. There's
yes,
a group of women that want to shave their head and they don't want to be with men anymore because Trump was elected. So I guess Whoopi Goldberg is joining the ranks of these ladies.
Yes. Well, put on your blue bracelets, and I'll give this the same response that I've given to a number of people that I've seen on X declaring these things. The meme response is, and nothing of value was lost.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't want to be mean here, but like what people were saying, Whoopi Goldberg, I think she's not exactly 20 years old here, and it's not like it should, maybe maybe this kind of thing that she's saying may not be so relevant, or it may not be the flex that she thinks it is. But that's just my personal opinion.
I'm gonna be on a sex strike for the whole time that whatever.
Not to mention Whoopi Gold. I feel embarrassed for Whoopi Goldberg because you know what? It's hard to believe it now. There's so many people like that. I think about that like with Mark Hamill as well. I grew up and Whoopi Goldberg was an actress that everybody liked. She was on Star Trek: The Next Generation. She did a great job even in serious movies like The Color Purple, but she was very versatile. She was great in movies like Ghost. She was funny in Jumping Jack Flash. There were a lot of movies with her, and she also did like Broadway. She really was like a multi-talented woman that was very, very beloved and very liked. And at some point she went to this The View show where she just sits here like a miserable, bitter, older lady. I say older.
She sounds, old age, young, whatever. She sounds like a bitter, nasty person. Is what she sounds like. She
just seems like this bitter, miserable woman, and it's so different. Who can even remember now that she used to be this kind of lighthearted fun with comedy? You'd see her and you're like, she'd make people laugh. You know what I mean? People don't even remember that. She'd do that stand-up like that she did for charity with Robin Williams, I think, and Billy Crystal. And, she was a positive person. Even when she did stuff that was more quote-unquote activist, it was basically to do comedy and raise money for poor people or something like that.
Oh, yeah. Didn't she used to do that HBO thing that
it was her, Billy Crystal, and Robin Williams.
Comic Relief.
That's
Comic Relief, exactly.
I was like, why don't I know that name anymore?
What, Comic Relief?
Yeah, it was such a huge thing back in the day.
It was a huge thing. And people are in the chat are saying she used to be cool. And Istophobos says the bee has an EGOT. Yeah, I mean, she was very, very well liked, well respected. When you're in a position like that, that's like the perfect position to be in. It reminds me also of like that Mark Hamill situation. He was a well-beloved actor that everybody liked. He could go to any convention. Everybody would just be so happy he was there. People just wanted to hang out, take pictures with him. He was this kind of presence that could be actually a unifying presence, one that like brings people together. She was also a presence like that. Instead, she goes to this View thing and whines all day and doesn't help her or her legacy or anything. Today, when I think about her, I don't even remember all that good stuff she did.
It's pretty hard to look past what she's done in the last few years. And of course, what's really funny. Well, never mind. No, I'm not going to go there.
Well, now I'm kind of curious.
No, but I will say, did you see the bit with her the other day when she was talking about how she's just like all of you, you middle class people. Yeah,
right. She's like, I work hard too. I would retire if I had enough money or something.
Yeah, everything's expensive for me too. You don't think I felt how much things are more expensive? I'm just like all you middle class people. Yeah, she's worth $60 million. She has no idea what it's like to be middle class anymore. I'm sorry. She has
Hello,
No,
fellow
she's
kids.
right.
Yeah,
Exactly. You know, I saw the same syndrome also with somebody like Cardi B. Yeah, I know she talks like really trashy the way she talks and carries herself, but don't forget that for several years now, this woman has had millions swimming in millions and millions and millions of dollars. I'm not sure why, but I can't argue with her success. I mean, I guess somebody likes whatever she has to offer, although I couldn't imagine why, but it is something that makes her money. She's like, when she went to did that thing with Kamala's rally, and she's like, even when I go to the supermarket, things are so expensive. The eggs are so expensive. It's like, lady, shut up, shut up.
yeah.
Nobody is taking you seriously.
And then poor old Morning Joe has no idea how much eggs cost either. That was a great,
Right.
hilarious clip. Eggs or butter. It was butter that he couldn't remember how much it cost.
Yeah, just a lot of people that are sort of out of touch, and this was one thing. Let me try to find. There were other things I wanted to.
Butter $7? What is it? Was it wrapped in gold? It just cost that much, you dumbass.
Is that a real quote? Because that sounds like something out of Family Guy.
Oh no, that's exactly. It was on the morning Joe Scarborough. He's on there and he's talking about how he was talking with somebody and they were telling him that butter was $3 or something. And he's like, what? Oh, and that's why you're going to vote for Trump is because butter's $3. And then his co-host Mika Brzezinski, who I could care less about, I do not like her, but she chimes in, butter's $7. And Joe just sort of stares at her like, what? $7? I was like, well, of course it how much you're buying matters, but it's hilarious. He's dumbfounded. $7. What is it, wrapped in gold? No, that's how much it freaking costs, you idiot. When was the last time you were at a store? Oh, I know, 15 years ago. It was the last time you were at a store, right? You have no idea what anything costs.
All these people are out of touch. That's what makes and they're so they so much have like their head up their ass that they still don't get it.
They're
some
so
of them maybe
condescending.
Right. Some of them get it more than others. Some of them don't get it. Another one that I think today we had was what's her name? Let me see if I can find this one. That was another interesting thing. Okay, this is something. Let's see. Are you guys there?
Yeah.
Let's see. So you had Joy Reid today from MSNBC.
Oh no.
And she also left. And also did the announcement thing like Don Lemon.
Hey guys, so today I finally did something I've been meaning to do for a while. And the reason for doing it, and kissing goodbye my 1.9 million followers over there, is because I hadn't been posting for a long time. I just didn't want to contribute content once it was purchased by its present owner. But just having it there, I was only holding on to it because I, really didn't want someone trying to take over that name and using it for nefarious purposes. I was a little bit worried about that.
They would steal my
and also
thunder.
every so often I would use it to just sort of look at news that was trending and what's happening. And I would just sort of use it as an aggregator, but I just realized that's not really worth it, because in order to do the news aggregation and just look at all, you have to wade through a lot of dreck and a lot of just abuse and a lot of just negativity, and it's just not worth it. And, hey guys, so today I finally did something I've been meaning.
Where'd she post it?
I don't know. In any case, she
probably TikTok, where all the brain dead people go to consume.
Probably. But the thing is that Joy Reid, I don't even understand how she even, this is just my personal opinion, how she even has a job. I mean, MSNBC, NBC years ago, when Brian Williams said that he was on a helicopter and there was a missile there, and then he wasn't on that helicopter, that basically, finished his career as like the #1 anchor in America. They then kind of put him on MSNBC for some years. Then they just, got rid of him altogether. But what I'm saying is like the humiliation that he went through, maybe rightfully so. But all I'll say is that this Joy Reid lady, are you aware of the type of scandals she's had?
I've heard a lot of the wild things that she's said. I couldn't name one off the top of my head.
No,
There's
it's
too many.
worse than that. What happened was that somebody discovered that she had a blog like in 2010 or something like that. This is a number of years ago, and it was discovered she had a blog that she was used to sit around, maybe up until even a later year, have just say like crazy things that were. It's not that you can debate if they were istophobic or not. They were like pure istophobic, weird things, conspiracy theories, like things that you would never think that somebody like in her position would be saying. What happened is this blog was uncovered. So initially what she tried to say is that somebody hacked into her blog and posted those things, making it seem like she posted them. But what it turned out was, if you looked at like the Internet Wayback Machine and things like that, the only way that would have been possible is if somebody invented a time machine and traveled back in time to change her blog. So after all of this thing, and after wasting resources and like reporting through a lawyer to the FBI, I don't know, government, I don't know what, all this weird stuff, at the end what it turned out was, and I think she had to apologize, that she herself wrote all that crap. It was basically, if I understand correctly, sort of like a Juicy Smollett type of situation.
Yeah.
And as opposed to Brian Williams, do you know what happened to her? Nothing. Nothing happened to her. So they released a comment that says, "Oh, like it doesn't she's evolved since then, and it doesn't represent the Joy Reid we all know and love today." It's like, what are you talking about? She said this crazy stuff. It wasn't like a million years ago. What do you mean?
Yeah.
She's now the Joy Reid you pay her millions of dollars today, so she's the Joy Reid you love. I don't know. I've seen situations like Kevin Hart when they told him he can do the Oscars, and then they wanted to cancel him. He said, "Hey, that was years ago. I made this off the cuff joke. I've evolved since then," and they didn't care. They fired him. So they fired him, and he really didn't do anything. Like his was dumb. This lady like did things a lot more malicious, and they're like, "Oh, she's evolved." I don't know, just such hypocrisy in the world sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, she's evolved now. Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah,
Right.
and
yeah, no, I do remember that, and I remember, she made some sort of apology that was a non-apology. It was ridiculous.
Sorry, go on.
Yeah, no, it was a ridiculous like non-apology that she made, and she said so many just whacked out crazy things. Of course, none of that's even going to matter because she's going to be unemployed pretty soon. MSNBC's up for sale, and if they don't get bought up pretty soon, the network's just going to shut down completely because they're bleeding money like crazy. So
the dead man says she lied about the gassing of Syria and lied about the bombing of the pipeline in Russia. I would believe that. So yeah, basically she for me is sort of like the Juicy Smollett of MSNBC. Yeah, I mean, speaking of buying something, today we had that situation that The Onion bought InfoWars.
Did it go through? Or I keep seeing headlines saying that the judge is throwing a wrench into that.
Is somebody throwing a wrench into that?
I hadn't seen that yet, but yeah, I mean, who knows? Yeah,
this is just what randomly comes up in my scrolling through my feed.
I'm trying to think of some of the things I saw today. Of course, lots of people losing their minds over, like I said, various appointments like RFK Jr. Wanting to make him the Health and Human Services. People losing their minds over that. But yeah, so I saw the thing about The Onion buying those InfoWars assets. But you said that there's something about about
Well,
that.
the thing that I wanted to
might not
say
go
is the reason why I mentioned it is, first of all, I think The Onion just isn't funny and hasn't been in many years.
It
So,
really hasn't.
you know, it could be like it could have been an interesting troll if this was actually funny. But the kind of people that work at The Onion, the kind of jokes they have, it's like it's non-jokes. I was talking with Erwin and with Angry Badger over at Nerd Wars and the Gooch earlier today, and I was telling them that. Do you remember that they used to be like jokes and like bazooka gum or something? Where there's like jokes or something.
Yeah,
That's like the level of jokes that The Onion have these days. They're just completely unfunny. I mean, I sometimes even claim that like the Babylon Bee is sort of kind of you know, it's not always extremely edgy humor, but at least they make some kind of effort, like with
yes,
with The Onion.
it's actually funny. Yeah, I've always I think I saw some. There was something during the campaign that came from The Onion that was rather amusing. It was probably the first thing I've seen from The Onion in a while. It was somebody doing, how they do the during the election they would do they where you go up to the big map and you zoom in on the state, you zoom in on the county. Did you see that one?
I didn't see it. No.
So well, they have the guy up there doing they're zooming in, on the map, so they zoom in on a particular state. They're like, interesting things about these voters, and let's zoom into this county, and they zoom into this one county right here, and this is really interesting, but let's go in further. And then they zoom into like one neighborhood. He talks about the neighborhood. Then they zoom in on one particular house, and then they zoom in, and inside the house there's a guy sitting there, and then they zoom in on the guy and talk about the guy, and then they zoom in on the guy and start talking about his internal anatomy and looking at his brain. It was just amusing, like they just repeatedly zooming in.
Well, it's nice that they came up with something funny, but really for years
most of the time their stuff's not funny at all anymore.
Even today we were looking at like the kind of posts they do about like their humor. More of it's more hit than miss, like more miss than hit. I don't, you may have seen something funny, but most of the time I think that they're not very funny. As far as the Babylon Bee goes, like I said, it's not that every post of theirs like makes me laugh hysterically. Sometimes I think they're just okay, but sometimes they have a moment where they say something and I say, okay, well, this is kind of funny. So I feel like the Babylon Bee today are sort of taken over that slot of what the Onion used to be. Onion even almost went bankrupt recently, and they had some other people come in, and I think it's owned by, and is it owned by MSM NBC? There's something weird about it. Is it owned by NBC? Who owns the Onion?
I believe it belongs to Geo Media now. Isn't this the same company that owns Kotaku?
I thought that maybe they sold that. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
Let me check.
It was Geo Media at some point. Maybe it's still
sold in 2019 to Great Hill Partners, forming a new company named Geo Media. Geo Media then sold the Onion to Global Tetrahedron, a firm newly created by Twilio CEO Jeff Lawson. So it belongs to whatever. It used to be Geo Media, but it got sold to Global Tetrahedron, whoever that is. Back in
I don't take all of this very seriously. I mean, again, personally, I don't really sit around and watch InfoWars either. It's not really my thing. But I also understand that Alex Jones is a controversial figure, and I know that there's something that he said that was considered bad, and I actually, I don't support what he said or what he did. At the same time, I think that there's something strange about the great effort that was done to shut him and his business down. Even if I don't necessarily agree with all of his views, and he did something that I think was wrong in that instance. I don't know if it was justified that he got all of this.
I'm missing something. So they bought InfoWars to basically turn it into the Weekly World News.
Basically, they want to embarrass Alex Jones. So because of his legal issues, they were able to, like, at an auction, buy his name. And even that auction, it wasn't done. It was supposed to be initially like out in the open, where maybe somebody that's sort of an ally of his, a businessman that he knows, may come and like bid for it and get it all and like let him have it. But instead, they did suddenly last minute, I think they did a secret auction where they gave it to the Onion, and now the Onion owns InfoWars. So next time people go to InfoWars, instead of seeing Alex Jones talking, they're going to see like the Onion's quote unquote humor, their version of InfoWars that they're supposedly making fun of Alex Jones.
It sounds like an incredible waste of money to do.
It does sound like an incredible waste of money, and even worse, I think that they just don't have the comedy and the chops to make this even funny. You know what I mean? I think that like it's not funny as a troll when the people doing it aren't extremely funny.
Yeah. Yeah. There's a good analogy in there, but I'm tired. I can't think of it.
Yeah.
Sammy 3Pete. Hey, what's up, man? Good to see you.
Hey there, Sammy.
Here. Sammy is an amazing singer. I don't know if you knew that. He is he sings really, really well. Like he performs with his band. It sounds really, really professional, and it just has a really great singing voice. That's just off topic. In any case, the reason why I even brought this Onion thing up is I was thinking, like, if I bought MSNBC, I would actually do something good. Like, I wouldn't be like this kind of Onion thing. I would make it that, like, we report on MSNBC and we report the news, and I think that it would be a huge improvement. I think that, like, the ratings can only go up from there.
Really? I mean, all you have to do is actually start reporting the news with the slightest bit of objectivity, and you're automatically going to have a much bigger, you're going to have a much bigger audience there.
Did they say how much they paid for this?
Forever. Yep. Goodbye. Sorry, I did some modding there.
Yes, that was a good mod.
It couldn't have been cheap, relatively, to buy this, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the weird thing, that this company, The Onion, that like had to be purchased and almost went bankrupt, and nobody buys it and nobody cares about it. They're the ones that are taking over InfoWars. It's just kind of weird.
Did you ever see the movie Kung Pao?
Yes,
I've eaten Kung Pao chicken.
It's that
Kung Pao Enter the Fist. Is
yeah,
that
yeah. And there's a character that keeps getting beat up, and they like purposely trained him wrong. So he's like, I am bleeding, therefore I am the victor. That's what The Onion buying InfoWars and making it satirical seems like to me. It's like, we're going to punch ourselves in the face, and that'll show you.
And then, because we're talking about publications, there was another one that was interesting today, and let me see if I can find it. Is that you? You did this Onion thing?
Oh yeah, I was just looking, as let's see how funny the Onion is today.
Did you find anything?
I'm not laughing.
But that's what I was trying to tell you, that they don't have a lot of funny stuff going on.
Mentally broken nation starts dressing and speaking like Frank Sinatra. Huh.
What?
Piss-soaked Tucker Carlson claims demon urinated on him. Okay. Pros and cons of prosecuting school shooter parents. That's no, wait, that's not funny. Never mind.
So
wow. So bad. It was just
that's what I was saying. That was really nothing good going on.
No.
So right now, can you see this?
Yeah.
Why the Guardian is no longer posting on X. Now, it's funny because like all of these people, whether it's like a Don Lemon or the Guardian or whoever it is, nobody cares about these guys, or Joy Reid. Not only does nobody care, most people have like a negative opinion about these very publications or public figures or whatever they are. The Guardian, and I was saying this earlier today, there's an actor, I don't know if you're familiar with Doctor Who, there's an actor, Noel Clarke, who was Mickey on Doctor Who, and the Guardian, I think it was in 2019 or 20, I don't remember now, they published an article and they basically wrote that he's a predator, and that there's 20 ladies that are now filing, charges against him. I don't know what. And immediately upon the release of the article, the British Academy, that's kind of like the Oscars, took away his awards as punishment for the article. No trial, no charges, nothing. There was an article, they took away his awards. Next thing you know, Scotland Yard, after his awards were taken away, says that they're launching an investigation. They're putting together a special unit to investigate everything that this man has done. Are you guys with me?
Yeah.
Everything that this man has done, they're just launching an investigation to find out. Now, I admit that at the time, I was just kind of like seeing headlines and things like that, and even I believed it. I thought to myself, like, why would Scotland Yard, why would they take this thing? Why would all this thing be happening? I thought to myself, the way they were presenting it is that he was the pudding pop man of England. And I'm like, okay, well, it's really a bummer that that's what happened, because I kind of liked him on the show, but I accepted that, that must be true because all these people are saying it. Jump forward a year. Scotland Yard does an announcement. Basically, and a very quiet announcement, much quieter than all the crap that went a year earlier. They say that they've investigated this matter. They had access to people, to documents, to phones, to emails. They had a whole unit that I don't know what, I guess, dedicated a year into looking into this thing. And you know what they found?
Nothing.
Exactly. And they said that there's nothing, they found nothing, there's nothing that they can charge the guy with. And not only that, they're not going to be investigating it any further.
Yep.
So they go on their way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and by the way, and I had a friend called John the White who passed away, unfortunately, from cancer earlier this year.
Mm-hmm.
And he was really the one that brought this to my attention, because I just thought that the article was the article. Sometimes when you have an article that it says that there's 20 ladies, you don't really want to read the article. You just figure, okay, I get it. This guy is like the pudding pop man of England, and, I don't need to hear all the details. I know that's a shitty thing. You're like, why don't you want to read the details? Because I kind of figured I'll just spare myself the details. I don't know if that makes me a bad person, but I think a lot of people were like me. They just saw all those headlines in the Scotland Yard, and they're like, okay, the picture they were painting in your mind was that the police are on their way now to put handcuffs on this guy. That's how these articles looked.
Yep.
So it turned out that what really happened is that out of these quote unquote 20 ladies, there were maybe only like 13 or 14 mentioned in the article itself. Out of the 13 and 14, one of them was like, so he was an actor that had his own production company in England, and then he had contracts with stations that he would produce shows and do things like that. Not to mention, not that this matters, but the guy was like a black guy, which, considering all the inclusion and all the stuff that everybody likes, I don't know why they all kind of jumped on this guy. I mean, he had a few theories. I don't really know. I don't know the politics of it. Maybe he didn't like the politics that they wanted him to like, if that makes any sense.
Mm-hmm.
But in any case, regardless of anything, out of the 14 ladies, I'll give you an example. One of them was an employee that worked at his production company. She arrived late one day to work when they were filming something, and he yelled at her that she was late. This was like considered a pudding pop situation. It's like, lady, if you're getting a salary and his production company has certain budgets that they're working with, and you arrived late, and they're losing money because you arrived late, and he gets upset because you arrived late, that is not a predator situation. That's not like a pudding pop man situation.
No.
And just like you had that one, you start picking apart through these kind of victims that they brought. Now listen, I don't know, you never know for sure 100%, but if you're going to write an article and you're going to say like predator, and that there's like 20 ladies, and like, this man's like finished, and then like they take away his awards in Scotland Yard, show up as because of this article, all of this happened within like 24 hours, and this man lost everything, all of his contracts, all of his business, everything that he had, he lost overnight. It was like the movie Trading Places, basically. In 1 second, he like lost everything. If you're going to do that, you better have solid people. You know what I mean? A lady saying that like she arrived late to work. There was another lady. So what she said was, are you guys still with me? I hope I'm not boring you.
No.
So basically, another one of the victims, what she said is that she went to a Christmas party for his company, for his production company, and she worked for him. And during this Christmas party, he filmed with his phone people dancing, and her dancing was kind of like Elaine from Seinfeld, I guess. It was kind of ridiculous. And later, he was in the office and he looked on his phone at the video, and he saw that she was dancing funny, and he chuckled. So she got upset, took his phone, threw it on the floor, and broke the screen. So he told her, listen, just take the phone and replace the screen, and that's it. Just return the phone with the screen, and he wouldn't fire her. Just fix the screen. Even though she threw his phone on the floor over some stupid thing, he wasn't going to fire her. She just needed to replace the screen. So she went to replace the screen and brought back the phone. That's a victim.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was humiliated that he had her go and replace the screen that she herself broke. And really, some of them were more innocent than others, but like if you read through these things, this was ridiculous. And this was all the Guardian. And meanwhile, he actually has sued them, and he's suing them for like ruining his career. So
it's a libel and data protection suit. I was just reading about it. It's for over 10 million pounds, as well as special damages. So yeah, it's a big suit. It's going to be tried in March. So
in England, it's very, very difficult to file any kind of lawsuit against a paper. But man, do I hope that guy manages to get something out of it.
Yeah, I'm not even sure I would call the Guardian a paper. A rag maybe would be more
right.
more
right.
accurate.
So
it's like the Weekly World News, basically.
Like they are the fake news of the fake news, and they're like, we're not even posting on X anymore. Good. I mean,
don't. We're better off without you being there. Thank you.
Right. I mean, that's the funny thing is that the people that left today were like the most useless people. You have like Don Lemon and Joy Reid and The Guardian, and I don't know what. Like, who cares? Nobody takes these people seriously, and which also leads to like, and this also goes back to some of the reason why Elon Musk is getting attacked, why they're all kind of lining up. The bigger thing here is, I think that they are gradually realizing that how much power they've lost, as the mainstream media.
Yeah.
But they've really done it to themselves. I mean, you could argue that maybe this is a natural progression of what would have happened anyways, but they sure expedited it. They did themselves no favors.
Yeah.
And I think there was something that, kind of highlights this thing that I found today.
Well, I was just looking here. I realized we missed a super chat over on YouTube earlier this evening.
Oh, what was it?
From the Dead Man for $4.99. I believe when we were earlier talking about Elon and we were talking a bit about Trump. He was the Dead Man says, I've been voting for 24 years and have never felt truly represented in my ideas until now. It feels great. And I never thought I'd see the day. Yeah, I don't think you're alone. I think there's a lot of people out there who feel very much the same way the Dead Man. But thank you for the super chat. Appreciate it.
Sir.
Sorry
Thank
we missed that earlier.
I apologize. Yeah, I'll be better at looking at the two different chats. Somehow those and the main thing that we look at, they don't always come up. But we'll do more to kind of...
Well, I try to keep the YouTube chat up just so I can keep an eye on that. But I think probably just the chat was moving along and we were talking and I just didn't see it. So, yeah.
So let me see if I can share this thing that I wanted to share. This is something interesting that this is on MSNBC, and I thought this kind of showed, I don't know, at least there was one person saying something that sounded half intelligent. Let me see if I can show you this.
Because you've always been sort of the leading edge of where media is going with Politico, now with Axios. You understand the environment so well. How do Democrats, and frankly, how does legacy media need to change the way it thinks about getting information? I mean, a lot of the voters who went out and voted for Donald Trump, that so many people are wondering what happened here, they're not watching, frankly, this show. They're not reading the New York Times. They're not consuming media that way. And the Trump campaign found those voters where they live. So how do Democrats need to change the way they communicate to voters, if you think that's part of the problem?
For sure. I mean, I think all of us have to come to grips with legacy media is just not as important as it thinks it is. It is to you, it is to me. That's a relatively small group of people who rely on us for their information. And you have to go into the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. And basically the way people get information is shattered into 20, 30 different pieces. And so if you just look empirically at the numbers, Joe Rogan's more important than any of us. He just has a much bigger, hyper-connected audience that listens to his every word. So maybe listen to Joe Rogan and kind of understand, like, what is he talking about? What are the guests that he has on? What are the issues that they care about? Realize that the gravity of right-wing discourse is now taking place on X. It's not Fox. X is what matters. Elon Musk is now, I wrote about this yesterday, arguably the most powerful civilian in the history of the country. He controls information flow. He controls multiple businesses. He has the president's ear. He's going to be in charge of some newfangled organization to gut government spending. We've not seen a person with that kind of clout across those sectors. But where his real power comes from is X. People thought he was an idiot when he bought X because he lost a lot of money. He's got a lot of money. And now he happens to have the most powerful platform on the right, and politics is downstream from information. And there's just a whole new information ecosystem out there. So for us, for you, for Democrats, for Republicans, you have to understand that you now are going to have to basically navigate 20 or 30 different parts of the ecosystem if you want to connect with the American people who vote.
They're like, no, don't make me work.
I mean, what I thought was interesting here is that, like, you have all these like farts sitting around, and this guy is their expert. You know what I mean? He's come to explain, like, you know, give them a wake up call and explain it to them. And he wasn't wrong in what he was saying. I mean, he sounds like he's whiny and annoying, but it's not that he was wrong necessarily.
No, I mean,
he's right.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of people who've been talking about the new media, you know, being, you know, YouTube, Rumble, X, you know, various other, you know, different platforms and stuff, because the truth is that a lot of people have cut the cord, and they're not paying for some cable replacement thing either. They don't have MSNBC. They don't have Fox. They don't have any of these cable news channels anymore. They, you know, they get their news from a variety of different places. But you know, social media is one of the biggest ones. And so, yeah. And a lot of people have, over time, they've migrated now over to X because it's a platform that is open to free speech and is not shutting down conversations because somebody mentions, you know, this thing or that thing or whatever. And it's you know, it's kind of obvious when you think about it, you know, why it would be so popular and why some of these channels like MSNBC would be, you know, falling apart. The people are not watching because either they simply just don't have a platform on which to watch it, or they're just tired of their constant gaslighting of everything that they have to say about what's going on in the world. So
Pyromancer says the left will and already has stated that they will just try to copy and create their own Rogan out of ether instead of it happening naturally. They have many paid mouthpieces already, but that's the thing. I don't think you can do that not organically. Joe Rogan just did what he did.
I thought it was funny. I think even Joe Rogan reposted it. There was like a headline that was like, the left needs its own Joe Rogan, and someone was like, you had him. He was called Joe Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
Like he used to be. He even said it in the interview with Elon. He's like, I used to be really left like all my life, and then he just like gradually had a shift in opinion.
Yeah, I mean, they chased all these people away. I also think that Elon Musk is a person that they chased away. I don't think he was more in the past kind of more of a left person embraced by the left. And, you know, I think that I'll get to that in a second because there's something interesting I want to talk about, which came up today. But before I do, I'm trying to find this thing before I forget that we were talking about finding a new Joe Rogan. So this thing is that I logged into Threads, which I usually don't do. I have like a Threads account because at the beginning when it came out, people were like, oh, it's Threads. So like I started an account. I think I posted one thing there in that day that I, you know, got an account. And from that first day that it was around until today or the other day, I didn't even log in ever. Like I don't even care about that place. But just because I was wondering how people act on that platform, just out of sheer curiosity, I logged in. And I took this screenshot, and this was like a post that a lot of people were talking about, and there were other posts like this. So somebody writes, "Why can't we make John Oliver as popular as Joe Rogan? Last Week Tonight is hilarious, informative, and heartwarming. Everyone on the left should be watching this weekly." This person that like talks like an NPC is exactly the reason why like John Oliver can't be Joe Rogan.
Yeah. It's
This is just so weird. But like the fact that like this person has like 4,600 likes, and you know there was such a large conversation growing surrounding this topic. John Oliver is not Joe Rogan. John Oliver is like the opposite of Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
you can't make him as popular as Joe Rogan. This is ridiculous. Like
you can't make it happen. It's not. It doesn't work that way, right?
That's what they don't get.
You would need a person that has their own opinions, and nobody can have their own opinions anymore. So, Joe asks the questions and has the conversations that he wants to have. Like, there would be nothing natural about someone like John Oliver doing it.
I mean, I'm not going to hold Joe Rogan up as some, pinnacle of media or something like that. I mean,
I don't think he would either.
He's not a shock jock, and he's not Rush Limbaugh, right? He's neither of those things. He's just who he is, and he's done ridiculous things. He's interviewed, had not even what he does. I keep saying interviews. What he does is not really interviews. He just sits down and talks to people for a while. He just has chats with people. And so he's talked to all kinds of people from all different kinds of different backgrounds, doing different things. And he's got his own ideas, and he's himself. And I think that honestly is what attracts so many people.
I forget who said it. I saw it like a couple of weeks ago. Someone was like, in the future, authenticity is going to be the most valuable thing.
I think Robert Meyer Burnett is the one that kind of I heard him saying this a long time ago, that like that'll be the currency of the future, authenticity. Yeah. And now I see like other people saying it, but I really feel like he was one of the early people that I'm not saying people didn't think about it, but the way he worded it was really good. Robert Meyer Burnett, I think
it might have been you quoting him that I heard. I don't remember.
That is very possible.
It's exactly true. That's why, like, all using AI to make art and stuff, it's like, this isn't gonna stick. I think it's just gonna push people towards independent projects more, just because it's real and made by somebody.
Yeah, but I mean, I was just showing this tweet because it really shows how people are kind of disconnected from reality. And what were we talking about before with Elon? Before I forget, because there was something that I guess I wanted to show, but now I'm blanking on it. What were we talking? What was the one thing we were talking about before this thing?
Sorry, I choked on my own beverage here. I'm down the wrong pipe.
That's okay. I have Newbeek said price for White House press secretary. It's the best username ever, this guy.
I have Newbeek.
But I'm trying to think. There was something we were talking about, and it was actually quite important.
New media, Elon buying it. Sorry, I'm going back through the stream.
Yeah, rewind the tape.
The Guardian no longer posting on X.
No, that we were all happy with.
Elon being really powerful, but because of his owning X, being the most powerful citizen. That was someone on Rumble was saying.
Eva Longoria. Did we mention her that she?
Eva Longoria leaving the U.S. Yeah.
Yeah, she left the U.S. I don't think anybody cares, but she left the U.S. But there was there was something else. Rachel Ziegler that's separately had a meltdown
Oh,
about Trump.
holy crap. Yeah, that just, man. The tweet that I put out, the post that I put out on X, it's just it was just the gif of the Joker with that pile of burning money behind him. Just said it's Rachel Zegler with Disney's money.
Oh, I see an update. Rachel Zegler has apologized for lashing out at Trump supporters. The Snow White trailer is about to drop this month, and Disney is doing damage control.
Oh, there's no controlling this damage anymore.
No, there's no
she has
controlling.
burned this movie to the ground. Not only is it just a disaster because of what they've tried to do with Disney's their original animated film. That very first film that, first of all, is one of the most beautiful pieces of animation ever created. It is an absolute spectacle of animation. It's gorgeous. If you've seen an updated scan of that, a recent scan of that, it is still one of the most amazing pieces of animation ever created. There's a reason that they were able to build Disney on the back of that thing. When people saw it in the theaters the first time, they couldn't believe what they were watching. It's amazing.
Nobody thought a full-length animated feature would catch on. He risked the entire studio
and that it would
on
be
it.
so, and it would be something so engrossing and just so enchanting. All we had seen everything was, black and white characters kind of walking along, bouncing up and down and making ridiculous jokes, or smashing each other with frying pans. And then you get just this amazing full-length animation from them. This gorgeous film, and it's still amazing to this day. And it was all done by hand. And you have this just awful, just mockery of that film that they're making of this live action remake that they've shot and reshot and reshot, and they've recut it a million times, and it's just bad. It's clearly going to be a monstrous failure, and it deserves to be. And she's just making it worse. She won't keep her freaking mouth shut.
And I'm going to tell you something. These studios will finish whatever contracts they have with her, but I honestly believe that there will be a moment, and this has nothing to do, there's only so much damage control problems that the studio wants to deal with. They're going to smile and say, "You're so great. We love your politics. You're so great," and they're never going to want to work with her again. And I think that's going to happen to her. And it wouldn't surprise me if that happens to Cynthia Erivo or whatever her name is, especially if these movies don't succeed. If they put all this money into these movies and then they premiere and they're not going to do well, and people think, well, they're not doing well because these ladies act the way they acted, that may cause these ladies to not get work anymore. Nobody wants to work with these type of troublemakers. If I'm now the head of a studio, I would never hire Rachel Ziegler, not because I think that she's a mediocre actress, not because I think that she's annoying and that she's, there's nothing special about her. I don't particularly like anything about her, not because of any of that. She is just a PR disaster. You spend hundreds of millions of dollars on a movie, and then in 1 second, you just give this lady a microphone, and everything is just down the toilet.
Yeah. And she just she just keeps stepping in it, it's embarrassing.
Shout out to Steph, My Nerdy Home. Steph, she's been really on top of these posts. It started off here. I think a lot of people saw it, but I find myself speechless in the midst of this. Another 4 years of hatred leading us towards a world I do not want to live in. Blah 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 blah. It's a bunch of nonsense and crybaby and whatever. And she says, fuck this. But more importantly, at the end, she said, fuck Donald Trump. And also she was...
sorry, Sean. Sorry for the...
sorry.
Dang
yeah,
it, you beat me to it. I was gonna try and pick one of you guys to pass it off on.
And then, I don't use it. They're eating you up on Twitter. That's why I don't use this app, and blah 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 blah. It's a combination of Elon syndrome meltdown and Trump meltdown, and also in a way also here. I echo the statement more than anything: the Trump supporters and Trump voters and Trump himself never know peace. So that's like already. It's not that she just doesn't like Trump. If you voted for him, then she has an issue with you too. Now, if you have a movie coming out and you want people
Please
to
come
watch
see
it,
my movie.
yeah. So now apparently she has let's see what this new post is. Oh, and this is a thing that I guess Steph initially, when she screenshotted it and later disappeared, she didn't have this, but here you can find it. However, I must say, if you voted for Trump, I hope that peace never finds you. Instead, I hope clarity strikes you someday like a clap of lightning, and you have to live the rest of your life with the knowledge and guilt of what you've done and who you are as a person. I guess that part was sort of disappeared. Now I guess she has a damage control. Can you see this?
Yep.
Hi, everyone. I would like to sincerely apologize for the election post I shared on my Instagram last week. I let my emotions get the best of me. Hatred and anger have caused us to move further and further away from peace and understanding, and I'm sorry I contributed to the negative discourse. This week has been emotional for so many of us, but I firmly believe that everyone has the right to their opinion, even when it differs from my own. I'm committed to contributing positively toward a better tomorrow. Wow. What a bunch of nonsense. This girl, there's no excuses. Initially, when initially she had her stupid things that she did, I said that I thought that there was like a 1% part of me that felt bad that this was a young lady who's just dumb and saying dumb things, and nobody around her is just telling her, listen, you're ruining your career, you're young and stupid, just shut up. But at this point, I even that 1% of me that felt bad for her and 99% that didn't feel bad, now I don't even have that 1%. This girl, anything that happens now, if she doesn't get any more roles, if her career is finished, she absolutely did this to herself. She is intolerable. She is just annoying, and that movie, I'm sorry, but if it fails miserably, it'll be deserving. It'll be she'll deserve it, and Disney will deserve it.
Well, Disney always deserves it, but yeah.
I'm still convinced Disney is going to be walking away from is going to be walking away from the theaters at the end of the year next year, having lost over $1 billion. With all of their films they've got coming out next year that are going to be just disasters. There's this movie. I heard about that. There was no mention of Snow White during their earnings call today, which is hilarious because that's supposed to be one of their just tentpole films for next year. But yeah, they've got that, and their Marvel movies. I think all of those Marvel movies are going to lose money. Fantastic Four maybe has a chance of making some money, maybe. But
Maybe.
we'll wait and see. We'll wait and see, how it actually performs in the theaters. They're going to lose probably $300 million on Captain America 4. They're probably going to lose a little. Who knows? They didn't spend too much on Thunderbolts, but they're probably going to lose some money on that. They're going to lose another $400 million on this. First of all, no one's going to bother to go see this one because it looks awful. I mean, those dwarves are like nightmare fuel. And then again, everyone knows that 90 days later it's going to come out on Disney Plus. So
It looks like it should be there already. They look like the 7 Hoggles from Labyrinth.
It's like Fraggle Rock with CGI or something. I don't know. They look weird.
So creepy looking.
So this article here in that Park Place, I guess, they covered this earlier today. There was some kind of earnings call, and apparently Bob Iger didn't even mention this Snow White thing.
Nope.
And the fact that when she wrote that stuff and there were these posts about it, I think that Elon Musk weighed into something about Rachel Ziegler, saying that she's very mean, which I think probably Disney saw that, and that in itself, was a huge. I'm sure like Disney are flipping out. This girl is just like like I said, a PR nightmare. It's a nightmare of PR. I would never hire her. But another interesting, and this is what I actually now remember that I wanted to show, that a nice piece of tidbit here, like that was on that Park Place, is that apparently, if I understand correctly, according to Nelson Peltz, he introduced Elon Musk to Donald Trump over Disney issues.
Yeah. That's not to say that those two would not have gotten together otherwise, but that is the story that actually they first actually met with Nelson Peltz introducing the two of them as they were talking about all the issues that were happening at Disney and him having all those issues with Disney pulling out of buying ads on X and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, it's kind of funny to think that
there was one point where I was probably just really mad about Star Wars one day, and all I could think was, I hope Star Wars is the undoing of Disney. And it with Elon being so mad that Star Wars movies suck, and Nelson Peltz coming in to trying to take over Disney, it feels like it kind of is Star Wars destroying Disney from the inside out.
It's very interesting that he brought them together with this breakfast. Now, like you said, maybe they would have gotten together, maybe they weren't, but it probably helped sort of get the ball rolling. I don't even know that they initially even got together to work on that. It's just somehow, when you build so many when you annoy people so much and you create so many enemies, at the end, it's not unlikely that these enemies suddenly find like a common goal and start working together.
Mhm.
And also, that's a business thing. And also, there's kind of a karma thing. I feel like there's some kind of karma going on here. There was so much, during Trump's first term and even second time he ran, there was so much like TDS and meltdowns around him that at the end, their dream of doing everything to make him not be the president ended up making him the president.
Mm-hmm.
Part of what they've done to all of their behavior is what led to this at the end, I think. Like, I guess what I'm saying is this whole time that they thought that they were weakening him, they were only strengthening him.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I say this again as somebody that's sort of like, ambivalent about politicians in general. It's not that I put anybody on a pedestal, including him, but I'm just saying that it's like from the day he's arrived on the political scene, they've wanted him gone, and they've put so much effort into it that each time they think that they put all this effort into it and they got the upper hand, somehow it works out the exact opposite of what they thought.
Stoking those fires.
Well, they just constantly underestimate. They underestimate Elon Musk. They underestimate Donald Trump. It's
I don't know why they underestimate Elon Musk. Elon Musk, again, I'm not saying
because they view him with total contempt, and that's the problem. They take people like Donald Trump, they take people like Elon Musk, and they see them, and they just have complete and total contempt for them. And so they can't actually rationally process an idea that they're actually capable, intelligent people, despite what hatred they might have for them.
Adam Gray, let's not forget Peter Dinklage kicking the ladder for little people. That movie,
God.
sure. That was something that he did that I actually know some little people that work in the industry, and nobody's happy with what Peter Dinklage did. He came off as just a jerk that took away people's jobs.
Yep.
And, it's very unfortunate. I don't know if he was really thinking it through or not, but I think that he's sort of a guy that doesn't like looking at himself as sort of a little person. He considers himself like he's transcended that. And I think that he really wasn't thinking about people in the industry that don't have a lot of work and don't have a lot of opportunities. And when there's an opportunity like this, that they replace them all with CGI when they didn't intend to initially, that's really, really bad.
That him doing that put him in the same corral in my head as all these other actors that I don't like anymore. Like it was such a nasty thing for him to do.
Yeah, it's and the truth is, I do think he's a talented actor, and I think in some ways he has, risen above just being cast just because he's a little person. But yeah, it's completely, it's gross that he would just completely forget. There's all of these other people out there who are getting work because they are little people, because they fit in the costume, or they fit the part of a little person or something, and just automatically chalking that up to some sort of racist, disgusting thing that, it's, we're hiring these little people because we think they're lesser than or something. It was never that. I mean, is that why you got your first part, Peter? Is that how you got, some of your various roles? I got news for you. Yeah, you probably got cast in some of those roles because they were looking for a little person, and it wasn't necessarily because...
I mean, in Elf, he has a role that kind of helped solidify him a bit, and he's sort of this little person who is an author, and like there's that whole scene of he's like little and Will Ferrell and whatever. It definitely he got the role because of his size. If he was an average sized person, that wouldn't be who he cast, because the whole humor of it is that Will Ferrell thinks he's in the North Pole and that he's working for Santa, when in fact it's just a little person. And that's what makes some of the comedy. Probably today they wouldn't even do such a comedy, but in the movie, it's a very funny situation and it's a funny character. And I actually think he's good in that role. I mean, Peter Dinklage is a good actor, but I don't think it's nice that he, like people are saying, kicked the ladder from under him. It's not a nice thing to do.
It's weird to me growing up seeing like the Star Wars movies, especially, and like Willow. Like I never understood why there weren't more movies as I got older with little people in it. Like I don't know why that trend ever fell off. Like Time Bandits was a lot of fun, and I don't know why they stopped using them and stuff. Sorry, go ahead.
People got too PC for their own good. I think that's really the problem. There's too much political correctness going on, and that's the issue. I wanted to show you this article here about Yellowstone, because that's something that was on our thumbnail or in our description here. So I don't know if you guys watch Yellowstone, whether you like it or not. I think it's something you'll understand that after... It's supposed to finish this year, and there was basically season 5 part 1, season 5 part 2, and after 8 episodes, when there's only like 6 episodes left, Kevin Costner and Taylor Sheridan, the guy that produces and writes this show, they had a falling out, and basically Kevin Costner never returned to film his scenes.
There's been some different discussions as to why he didn't come back. Kevin Costner actually claims that it had nothing to do with him wanting to leave the show or anything. It's just that he had made various commitments as part of his films that he's been making, that Horizon series of films. He had made various commitments to that and had various things that were scheduled and shoots that he had to be on and whatnot. And that they simply, there was no, they went back and forth on trying to work out the schedules for him to be able to do both. And it was not coming together. And so he claims it was just a scheduling thing and there was just no way to make it work, but who knows?
You know, what I think the situation here is, first of all, yes, I believe there's a two to tango situation. I guess they both have responsibility. But what I will say is this, and I've said it before, Kevin Costner, this show put him like center stage back in like the mainstream, huge success. Like, I'm not saying he's been steadily working and he's fine and he does whatever he does, but this was like a sort of comeback for the guy for like, being really on such a popular show, being like, the guy and really positioning him that way. Now, it's only because of this show that he was even able to make these type of Horizon movies. Meaning, if he wasn't on this show, he wouldn't even go, not financially, not even just in general make them. What made him want to make these is that he was on this show and he's like, wait a minute, I can do my own Western. I can do this and I can do that. And I think that comes from ego. If I were him, I would have just finished this show. I mean, yes, you can go and make your own Westerns, but why not finish this thing and then go make whatever Westerns you want? Maybe even make a deal with Paramount and with Taylor Sheridan, and then make these additional westerns that are sort of, their own thing. But instead, no, he had to make them now. He wanted to show that and this is a part that's also his ego. I think he wanted to show like, oh, you're Taylor Sheridan. Look, I also can do westerns. I'm Kevin Costner. It's like, dude, just finish the fucking show. Sorry, Sean. So some of this is also on the fault of Costner, but putting all of that aside, and I also think that in spite of everything that we're saying, and maybe some of it is Taylor and some of it is Kevin and all that stuff, the fact that these two guys, for whatever reason, couldn't set up a situation even one day of filming. You want to tell me that with all this stuff, I don't care what movie is filming, cut a check, make it so that that production has a break for a day or two, cut an additional check if you're Paramount, whatever it is that you have to do, give them a day or two to at least film something that resembles like the end of this character. Because I kept saying, what are they going to do with him? Are they going to do like a Good Times where like somebody gets like a phone call or a telegram and the guy is dead or whatever it is? It ended up, I kept thinking when I watched it that they did a Good Times because that's what they did, but really they did even worse. Do you remember the show House of Cards?
Yep.
So after that final season with Kevin Spacey, that he had all the charges and whatever, that nothing ever happened with those charges, but it doesn't really matter. They basically booted him off the show, and then it was going to be starring like Robin Wright. She'll be like the main character. And what happened is that they basically just started the episode and said like, "Oh, he's dead. Like somebody shot him. Remember that guy? Well, he's dead now." So.
Poochie flew back to his own planet.
Yeah.
There was something.
I have to go now.
I think it's possible maybe they started off showing that somebody murdered him or saying that somebody murdered him, and then there was sort of a mystery as to how he was murdered. I think that they went for something similar in Yellowstone. And
I read about the episode. I've never actually been a big fan of Yellowstone. I've got some family that absolutely loves this show, and I've never gone back to really, because I kind of got to go back and start from this. This is in the 5th season now, so I got to go back and like watch a whole bunch of it that I haven't seen yet. So, but yeah, I had read a story about what had happened with the character and Kevin Costner was none too thrilled about it, but. You left the show. You don't really get a say in it anymore.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that regardless of what Kevin Costner did, and I told you that I thought that the thing with the ego and whatever and what issues I have with him, this somehow also feels like Taylor Sheridan also, shouldn't exactly get rewarded here for his like pompous behavior. Because at the end of the day, I think it was very poorly done. I looked at it and it was really, it took me out of the whole show. I as far as you're saying Yellowstone, I think the first season was good. The second season was very good. The third season was excellent. The fourth season was kind of okay. And the fifth season, the first half was already really wobbly. And it's like they needed these final episodes to really bring it home and to continue that wobbliness with this weird Good Time / House of Cards scenario. I didn't like it at all.
This is the reason I don't watch shows as they're airing anymore. Because inevitably something stupid happens by the end and the show sucks.
Yeah,
then you just find out which seasons don't suck, and then you just go watch those, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, if you even still have the interest by then.
This show could have been okay. They just needed 6 episodes to end this that don't suck, and they could have done it. And, I don't care at the end. I blame Taylor Sheridan and Kevin Costner. And it sucks because you invest time and energy for years in a show, and at the end over some dumb crap, the guy, like, doesn't show up to do his scenes, and, like, you have, like, you just say, he must have killed himself. And I mean, the thing is, he didn't really kill himself. Like they think he killed himself, but then it turns out that it's not what they thought. But it all doesn't matter. It's just it's shit. And I like the actress that plays the daughter, Beth. I think that Kelly Riley, I think that's her name. I think she's a really good actress. Really like what she does, and I like how she plays this role, and I like the character, and she tries really, really hard. And even with all of that, it doesn't matter because it doesn't feel the same. Not only is Kevin Costner not there, the way they like discarded or disposed of this character just feels so cheap and crappy. So that's what I think about it.
Fair.
Yep.
That's my impression of it. At the same time, I wanted to say that I saw another movie. I saw something else this week, and I wanted to just probably nobody's going to give.
Yep.
I'm trying to think what the guys. Oh shit.
What's even out? Like I can't think of anything that I actually want to watch lately.
What is it? There's. I can't remember the name. Oh shoot! What's it called?
Here. Tom Hanks.
No, that I'm trying to. Yes, okay, now I remember. It's called Bon. Okay, I got it. Sorry guys, I'll show you in a second. I'm just getting
Okay.
Arthur, tell a joke.
Tell a joke, yeah. So it was.
Why did the teddy bear say no to dessert?
So basically, it was this thing.
No, what's the answer? Is there an answer?
He was stuffed.
Oh, I should have known that. I'm tired.
This is the movie that I saw. Bonhoeffer. I guess in some places it's Bonhoeffer, pastor, spy, assassin. So I guess what what I wanted to say, I wanted to give a little review of it. It's kind of, I don't know if it'll speak to everybody. It's more of a niche. It's an Angel Studios movie. I like Angel Studios because I like their business model. I like that they make movies that don't cost $500 gazillion, and they really have an audience of people that they kind of cater to, but they also, do crowdfunding, and they present to them movies that they actually want to see. I like the attitude of these guys and how they approach their thing. Now, a lot of times also in the mainstream media, they always like kind of take little digs at them. They're like, "Oh, it's a faith-based studio." I mean, I don't care what they are. If they're doing good business, if they're doing smart decisions, and a lot of times even their movies, I think a lot of their movies, even I think all of them, have this kind of positive message. Almost every one of their movies, they want to do something inspiring or have like a positive message. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. No other studio wants anything positive. Everything is negative all the time. So yeah, okay, so they're faith-based, and maybe that's not for everybody. But I also don't like the term faith-based because some of their movies are just, for example, Sound of Freedom, they distributed it. And the media, was very happy to go and say all this faith-based stuff about them. But the truth is that was a movie that initially I think 20th Century Fox and Disney were supposed to distribute. They just put it on a shelf.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was like nonsense. In addition, there was some other thing that they did. The Shift was something that was like sci-fi, but it was like a bit biblical and like sci-fi. But I thought it was cool. At least they're trying different things.
Yeah, they're doing something different, and this is what's really where I think we're going to have to see before, and we will see before Hollywood is able to pull itself back together and survive the woke mind virus that has done so much damage there. Before they're able to turn it around, there's going to be a really, really vibrant indie scene that's going to come from a lot of different directions. And I think Angel's already doing some great stuff in that area. They're producing some really interesting stuff, and some of it is really high quality.
Yeah, I mean, and I like also that they have this, ambition. Like when I saw the movie The Shift, and in my review I said it wasn't a movie without flaws, but it cost them $6 million to make. And man, for $6 million, they really made an effort. I mean, the fact that they have $6 million and they're making this kind of sci-fi movie, it's just like, I'm impressed that they even are trying to do that. You know what I mean? It's like this is a studio that, because of the way they do things and how they put together like their smaller budgets, they're always thinking outside the box. There was another one, the one with the doctor. Was it called Sight? Maybe it was called Sight.
I'm not remembering. the title of it, but yeah.
I apologize if it was not Sight, but there was something with an Asian, a true story about a guy. He came from China, I believe, and he helps people with surgery that can't see. He helps them see again, and he has like a crisis, of sort of. There's one case that he encounters that he's not able to cure a little girl, and there's a whole story around it, and it's based on a true story. And I thought that movie was very interesting and uplifting, and also not a high budget movie. So ambitious what they did there. And
Sight, that's the right one.
Sight also, I liked Sight. There was another one called Cabrini. Cabrini was actually a movie that I think that they spent maybe the most from all these movies. That was one that I think that it did have a budget of like $50 million. I don't know if they made back their budget. That was certainly, it cost a lot of money to make that one in comparison to their other movies. But again, really solid period piece. And all of these with really uplifting messages. So yeah, I mean, sometimes these are figures that have something to do with the church or things like that. Oh, there was also The Sound of Hope, also very inspiring movie. I don't know. Hard for me not to like what they're doing. I like their general direction. And this Bonhoeffer movie, I saw it. I mean, the thing is that the subject matter is a bit more complicated here because on one hand they have a guy. Do you know anything about this?
I have never even heard of it.
No, this one I actually haven't heard of. No.
So there was, I guess, a pastor in Germany, and as the Mr. Mustache Man was gaining power there, and it looked like him and his party of Yahtzees were kind of taking over. I guess everybody was just kind of getting swept up in what he was doing, and nobody was really resisting. And this pastor guy, this Bonhoeffer guy, he basically was resisting.
Yeah,
and he was
I didn't know something of the story of Bonhoeffer. I just did not know anything about this movie. Yeah.
So he resisted, and he said, "Hey, I don't agree with what's going on. The church shouldn't bow down to this guy. We shouldn't be going along with this." He also, was speaking out against what's going on with what the Germans were doing to the Jews at that time. And on the surface, I mean, this guy was a positive guy. It's just, and even there was some kind of an attempt to kind of get rid of the Mustache Man, the failed attempt that they did that kind of Valkyrie movie on. He was behind the scenes, one of the people that was kind of pushing for this or involved in the planning of it. None of that worked, obviously. And at the end, it's not really a spoiler. At the end, the guy dies. He gets.
He was put in a concentration camp, and later, he was hung.
Well,
he was.
spoiler.
Yeah.
God, well, I'm sorry. I mean, it's only been 60 years.
Right. I mean, it's something you just go do a general Google. Basically, they kill him. And the one thing I felt about this movie, though, a lot of times you want to feel that somebody accomplishes something, and this guy basically he. Maybe his heart was in the right place, and he was saying and doing the right things, but at the end, it didn't really. I don't think that it really made a difference in the sense of it didn't change any kind of outcome, and maybe in the movie, the one thing that you could say that it sort of discusses is that sometimes when you decide to do the right thing, you sometimes do it against all odds, and even in a situation that that you may be giving up your own life for something that you believe in. And I guess if that's something that the movie is trying to say, I can appreciate that. But I don't know. I mean, again, I felt like the movie wasn't necessarily flawless, but at least I appreciated that they made the movie. And I also liked the fact that it felt different than a Hollywood production. It felt like it was more of a European production. It didn't feel like your typical Michael Bay movie. You know what I mean? Like, this felt like something that people gave thought to how they want to present it, and at the end of the day, it was sort of like a pretty decent quality indie movie. That's the best way. And really, they are a studio that does these kind of indie movies of sorts most of the time. So I'd say it was kind of like an indie movie. I found it interesting. I didn't regret watching it, and if this is a subject matter when it comes to history, World War II, these types of matters interest people, it could be something that would, people would enjoy. It's obviously, it's not like a sci-fi movie or any kind of escapism. It's very much like real, based on a real story, and it's not one that is like, it's not necessarily one that you walk out and you're like fist bumping on your way out of the theater.
Yeah.
Like it's not like a feel. I wouldn't
not
categorize
particularly
it as
uplifting.
No.
Story. It's interesting and
it's interesting. It's educational. It's informative. So in that sense, I can at least recommend it. But like I said, I'm usually rooting for this studio. I like what they do, and I like that they do these type of things. And for me, it's important to support when I can. Support this kind of effort. I hope that a lot of other studios learn from the type of business model that Angel Studio has. And overall, it's a decent quality indie movie and something that, certainly educational and interesting. That's it.
Yep.
So, just wanted to talk about that a few minutes, and I think that now we can go into the final segment here, where maybe you, Professor R2, can fill us in on what's going on with Dragon Age Veilguard.
Well, I have something else to share real quick that we did not discuss. It's something that happened earlier this evening. Don't know if you saw this.
Oh, I did see it. I did, and I wanted to share it. You're right. That's actually fun.
Sylvester Stallone coming out. So he was at a conference, the America First Policy Institute, and he introduced Trump, the President-elect Trump, calling him the second George Washington, and also compared him to Rocky. And so actually I can, let's see if we can get the little video. It's got let's see if we can zoom in here just a bit and play. It's a short little video of him doing his introduction here.
Proud to be here. I didn't expect this, but I'll just keep it short and sweet because there's no such a thing as a speech too short. When I did Rocky, if you remember, the first image was a picture of Jesus. And it says Resurrection AC Club. I found a church that had been converted to a boxing ring. So the image pans down from Jesus onto Rocky being hit. And at that moment, he was a chosen person. And that's how I began the journey. Something was going to happen. This man was going to go through a metamorphosis and change lives, just like President Trump. We are in the presence of a really mythical character. I love mythology. And this individual does not exist on this planet. Nobody in the world could have pulled off what he pulled off. So I'm in awe. And I'll just say this, and I mean it. When George Washington defended his country, he had no idea that he was going to change the world. Because without him, you can imagine what the world would look like. Guess what? We got the second George Washington. Congratulations. You good? But.
And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died.
Like he's just gonna take off.
Please welcome the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Thank you.
The men who died, who gave that right to me, and I gladly stand up next to you.
Just wild. Just wild.
This is wild, yeah.
No doubt I love this land.
So yeah, just amazing to see. We get all these stars that are out there saying, "Oh, I'm leaving the country because Donald Trump is made president." You just get, oh man, just the legend, Sylvester Stallone out there.
I like Stallone more than all these weirdos that left X and left this today and left the country and Eva Longoria and I don't know what. I don't care about any of those people. Like Stallone is cool.
and just out. I mean, like I'm guessing he's probably just sick of Hollywood. Just can't stand it in Hollywood anymore. And just getting up there like just doesn't give, it doesn't give two shits. Sorry, Sean. About about what anyone is going to have to say, because people are going to be like, "Oh my God, I can't believe you were praising Trump and shaking his hand and all of this stuff." Like, yeah,
I think at this point he
Great.
doesn't care anymore.
No, I don't think he cares.
He did wait. I mean,
Great.
throughout the, I will say that throughout the election, the campaign, I didn't see Stallone saying anything.
No,
I
he
think
wasn't
that
out there campaigning for him. He wasn't out there telling everybody you're an awful person if you don't vote for him. He wasn't doing any of the stuff that all those other Hollywood people were saying. But he won. He gets up there. He's praising him for the win, telling him, hey, go out there and change the country. Go out there and change the world. So I think that's pretty awesome.
it's fine. Listen, and the truth is, even if, let's say, especially after the election, especially after the fact, I think it shows a lot of class that throughout the campaign, Stallone wasn't going there and like making a million videos and blabbing to people about it. I think that it's classy that he said afterwards. And, if the situation were different and let's say, somebody voted for Harris and then like she won, and after she won, he said, "Oh, I'm so happy that you won." I think that would have looked classy to me as well. You know what I mean? I think that, sometimes I don't love it when people do all this kind of politics stuff and talk about all their political leanings. If I had it my way, none of these kind of public figures and celebrities and actors, like, they'd kind of steer away from this, because I think it mainly is annoying. But because like the situation is that in Hollywood, 99% of them are all like shilling for Harris all day and did the whole campaign thing. I think that at that point, having a few on the other side is totally fair enough. And again, I think Stallone, very classy that he only said this after the election.
Well, and then he's not out there posting this on social media. He's not making commercials and absolutely cringe-worthy endorsements that he's, posting on, YouTube or other social media sites and stuff. He's at a policy institute. He was invited as a speaker to talk to this. This is a political event, right? And so he's speaking his mind, but he's not out there like, trying to sell it to people, whatever. He's just speaking his mind out there, at a policy event where that kind of talk is expected. Right. So yeah, anyway, I thought that was a really, a really classic moment with Stallone. And
I thought that was cool. Yeah.
Well, WDW Pro had a video the other day talking about all the celebrities getting paid for their endorsements and
and there were
the
a lot
machine behind that. And I'm just like, that's kind of gross. And I thought of Price and how much Mark Hamill angers you every time he goes off. And I'm kind of like, is he also being paid to say a lot of this stuff, or is he doing this all of his own volition? Anyway, sorry, I didn't.
Who knows?
I think that Mark Hamill, it's a combination. I think that Mark Hamill is like an annoying activist douche, and
it's like sorry, he makes me think of like an older uncle that just watches the news all day and has to react on like Facebook or whatever. Go ahead, sorry.
What I told you is that I would accept all of that, but the level of negative talk about anybody that disagrees with him, including people, he wants people to sign, pay him tons of money for his autograph and do all this stuff, that he sits there at conventions and actually insults them to their face. I really don't like that. I think that that's beyond the level of like the annoying uncle.
Well, I didn't say it was a 1-for-1 comparison. Like he's on a different level, but yeah.
It's too much. I mean, it's not just that he liked some candidate and he said this and that. Like the way he's so bitter and miserable and attacks people all the time. It's a total overreaction, I think.
Mm-hmm.
At least in my opinion.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So Yeah, so we can talk about some Veilgard stuff real quick before we go. So I guess the new news today was that they're now claiming here. I'll share. I don't have another window with Dragon Age in it, but I'll share this one here. That they're claiming that some insiders have been saying that they have sold 1 million copies. So various rumors have been coming out, supposed leaks, whistleblowers, whatever, from inside the company claiming that they had only sold about 500,000. They're now saying apparently there was an email that's gotten spread around from some whistleblowers saying that they have sold 1 million copies, and they're going to have a party inside inside the studio to celebrate the 1 million copies sold or whatever, when the reality is they're going to have to sell somewhere closer to, I believe, 8 to 10 million if they're actually going to make their money back.
I was gonna say 1 million doesn't sound like enough.
No, 1 million is not that much. It's pretty poor actually. But for a game that features characters that look like that, I guess 1 million is pretty decent. But
more to be there.
It's it is not been doing well. And now apparently the big thing is that, of course, there's tons of people that are out there just hating on this game. We mentioned the other day how the trade-in value for this game has just collapsed. So this is a brand new game. You buy this for $70, $60, whatever the entry level cost is, and now GameStop will not even buy them back in some stores because they've got so many copies, and the buyback amount that they'll pay you for it is only $22.
Oh.
So it's just completely collapsed in its value there. There's no resale there for it at all. There was a story that now they're trying to hunt down and figure out who these leakers are that are out there talking to. Let's see if I can switch tabs here. They're out there trying to talk to people in the company and hunt down whoever it is that has been leaking the information out to Endymion and Smash JT, and have been talking to people like Grums and Hypnotic about this stuff. But the reality is this game is a massive failure. It's a just incredible failure. And as Grums is saying here, holiday sales are not going to save this game. Right now, the concurrent players continues to drop, as Grums is pointing out here, just a couple weeks out, and now they've only got maybe a few, not even 100,000, a few dozen. 34,000 is what they're saying right now. It's just absolutely awful. It's a dreadful performance. Returns are rumored to have been somewhere in the area of 30,000 copies being returned to GameStop. People have been there's all sorts of digital copies of it that are being people are getting it, and with it, a lot of digital platforms, if you've only played a couple of hours and if it's within like the 14-day window or whatever, you can just send it back. You can just get your money back. And rumors are there's a whole bunch of that going on. Tons of copies being sold back to GameStop, so much that the value is just collapsed. This is claiming now that the trade-in value is now only $14, which is just wild. Given that, as it says here, Stellar Blade, which is way older than this, it's been out for months, is still worth $16 on a trade-in. So just pathetic performance. So they're saying, it took 2 weeks. They got to 1 million copies. It's rumored that this costs somewhere to 200-300 million to develop the game. So they would need around 6 to 7 million, depending on exactly the number of returns that happened and how much they were making. So they would need somewhere around 6 to 7 million copies sold to be able to actually just break even on the game. So it's just a complete and total failure. And now they have people are finally not only just YouTubers, but some journalists are actually finally starting to mention how just disastrous this game actually is, as more people have gotten further and further into the game, and they're starting to see that it's not just, there's not just one scene where they talk about pronouns. There's not just one scene where they talk about the character being binary. It's everywhere. It's just scattered all through this game. And the one thing that you can't get away from in this game is dialogue that sounds like it was written by a 5-year-old. It's terrible. Just watch some of the scenes that you can find out on YouTube of this game. It will blow your mind how bad it is. It is, infantile.
This is one of those
Language.
things that is so terrible that I would kind of be interested in buying one for a cheap price, just to hold on to it for the future, just in case they trash them all and you have like the one pristine copy to remind everyone that this actually happened.
Oh boy, it's an amazing failure. This is one that's gonna it's gonna end up on like the PlayStation Plus and stuff like that, like in a couple of months. They're going to be so desperate for money. They're going to be doing anything they can to get money from anybody that they can, because BioWare is going to be in bad shape after this. I mean, this is not just their first failure. They've had numerous failures. They had Mass Effect Andromeda, which was a huge dud. It wasn't as big a failure as this, but they also had Anthem, which was a huge failure. And now they've got this, which is clearly going to lose them millions. And the truth is that they know this is a failure. They've already moved on. There is no DLC in development for this game. They're done. They're moving on. Supposedly they're going to go start working on the next Mass Effect game. But the bad news is that a lot of the same people who worked on this are now going to work on the next Mass Effect game, which means it's going to also be a disaster. Where it's going to have your main character is, you're going to have to pick whether you're going to be bisexual and how many different surgery scars you're going to have on your character and whatnot. It's just going to be awful. So I have no hope whatsoever for another Mass Effect game. Not that I had a whole lot of hope left after playing the Mass Effect Andromeda. I waited for that one to drop down to the $9 $9.99 special to pick that one up and try it. And I mean, I played all the way through it. Some of the game mechanics were just fine. They had actually did a pretty good job refining that from the earlier games, but the actual story was just terrible. It was not bad, like in the same way some of these forced diversity kind of things are today. It was just very poorly written.
I still never finished the first one.
Oh yeah,
I've got a bunch of games that I never finished.
Well, I'll tell you, Sean. Mass Effect 2 is in my top 10 games of all time. It is one of the best balanced, best told stories. The gameplay is fun and compelling. The story's great. The characters, the voice acting is great. It's just a fantastic game. And if they have the updated version that came out with the trilogy of games in it, with all the DLC and everything included. And that game is still it's a masterpiece. It really is
cool.
Fantastic game. But the first one was really enjoyable. It had some mechanical problems, gameplay problems, and they actually did do a pretty good job trying to fix some of those issues with the with that re-release, with that special edition that they made with all 3 games together.
Mhm.
And then, the third one, mechanically was pretty good, but it was a lot of people got very frustrated with the third one because the throughout the game, just like with the earlier Dragon Age games, you had this sort of branching storyline where your decisions really impacted what happened in the game. You could choose to be the character you wanted to be. You could kind of choose how you treated the others around you and how you connected with them and the relationships that you built. And that changed how the story played out. And then with the third game, like, you had all these decisions to make, and then it was almost like none of them mattered. They all just sort of all those threads that sort of came back together into just one decision. Like, all the stuff that you did before that didn't actually play into it at all, which really frustrated a lot of people.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're still really enjoyable games. Like I said, I played through all of them originally, and then I played through that newer edition that came out. So yeah, but that second game, one of my favorites of all time. So, and actually, I really want to go back now and play the original Dragon Age Origins, because that was a very similar style of game, very, very well done, and an absolute classic. It's never been remastered or anything like that, but that's fine. I think the graphics still look pretty good, and I'd love to go back and replay that one. Really good, enjoyable, dark, dark version of a fantasy story, and not all the without all the unnecessary pronouns. And
I have a question for you. I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Sorry, because I bring this up from time to time. I wish I had time to edit something. Maybe I should try to find time for this. But when I was at that Comic-Con convention and I went to the to the LG panel, that I told you about, they were trying to talk about how like Dragon Age is such an important like beacon for like people in this community of the LG community, and I was really surprised by the thing they were saying. Now I think they were saying it about Dragon Age that there's one of the ladies there, I guess, who's lesbian. I think she was sitting there and she was saying something along the lines of that initially when she played Dragon Age, she had an issue because she wanted to hit on a woman, but the game wouldn't let her do that. Why is that even a thing in the games? Why would you want to be? Are you supposed to hit on people in this game?
There are some people that play these games, and obviously, I mean, if you watch some of the coverage, some of the gameplay for this latest Dragon Age game, like, they really played up this relationship stuff. Like, if you play as if you play as a heterosexual character, you only get like a couple of romance choices, and they're kind of stupid. But if you play as queer, you can romance everybody.
But initially in the game, in early versions, like back in the day, I assume what they were trying to say was there was this one lady that said that in order for her to be able to hit on a woman, she had to play as a male so that she could go hit on a woman, because if she was a woman, she couldn't hit on a woman. So I guess
mean, that might be possible. I really don't remember, some of the romance options there. And I typically play as a dude anyway, so
no. But I'm saying like that's how it all started. That's how it's all started for them. That they're like, why can't we have a woman that hits on a woman? And then I guess that's how changes were gradually made until where we are today. But I still think that there is a difference between feeling that you're not represented in that way and between what we're seeing today. I think that those are two very big extremes.
Yeah. And again, I think this is also too, I think it's a difference in how men and women view video games, right? And what the type of experience that they want to have. And so they want an experience where there's all these romance options, and they can have all these different ways that they can build these different relationships and stuff. and there's some guys that want to do that stuff. It's just, for me, that was always very peripheral to the game. To me, I think that's the way it is for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that everybody saw this coming, that it would be a failure, but I guess that them and the mainstream media, they're all going to try to do this spin that it's some big success. It's almost like now they're like Disney with their stupid movies. Like they don't want to accept failure, so they'll spin it as a success, even as they lose money.
I think a lot of companies are like that now.
Yep.
Cosgrove said something here. He said, the BioWare community is so obsessed with who can bang who. The success to the CDP Project Red now been like this since Dragon Age 2.
Yeah,
I believe it. I believe it.
There's definitely that contingent that seems like, oh, well, we need to make it so that every character can put it in every other character. Well, it's like, okay, fine. If that's what does it for you, but could we maybe actually make a game that's entertaining and has a good story first? Could we do that first and then add the other stuff later?
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's just strange to me that when I sat at this panel that they were so obsessed with this, and they just sounded so annoying too. It's like, I don't know. I mean, that's the thing with the game, that you couldn't be a woman that hits on a woman. That's where you have issues with this game. I don't know. But whatever. If I ever get around to doing that video, I'll shed some light on what I saw at that panel. Certainly very interesting. But
it's a fascinating group of people that just they want this is what they want from the game. They want to be able to take their character and live out their own particular fetishes and fantasies in a video game. That's what they want to do in a video game. And yeah.
By the way, I know this is only mildly off topic, but I guess AOC, she removed her pronouns, but then people said something about it, so she's like, no, I don't know, they fell off. Like, I guess she apologized for not having pronouns.
Oh no,
such weird things.
My pronouns showing?
They fell off. I don't even know what that means. I thought she was trying to become more like I actually think that in 2028 she's going to run. And from now until then, I think she's going to try to position herself as, quote unquote, more moderate. She's going to try to pretend that way. I personally don't buy it, but it wouldn't surprise me if she tries this.
Some of these
video. Sorry, go on.
No, just some of these people that just do not seem to process the idea that the internet does not forget. It's all out there, and it's always going to be out there. We know all the crazy stuff that you said.
Right, but she may still try it. I don't know. I wonder what's going to happen. But
I hope she does, because she's completely unelectable. I definitely hope she runs.
She had a video the other day, like asking people on TikTok, I guess, or whatever. She's like, "What right-wing podcast do you listen to? Can you give me recommendations?" And it's like, are you going to try and get them shut down, or are you just looking for talking points that you can lie to people about?
Gonna try and dox them or shut them down or who knows what. Yeah. It's all gone. It's all gone crazy. It's all wild, and I'm here for it. I'm ready to see what happens for these next few years. And all the crazy appointments and all the stuff that Trump's doing. I think half of these appointments that he's throwing out there are just as he has been known to do, own the libs. I think he's out there just trying to irritate people as much as possible with some of his appointments.
You're probably right. I guess on this very positive note, we can start wrapping up. I just wanted to, give shout outs to some people that have been here. A lot of people kind of popped in to say hello throughout the stream.
We did get another super chat from the dead man. So let's make sure to mention that he had to head out, so he left us a $4.99 super chat. Said Price, I'm beaming out of here. I love the conversation. Live long and prosper.
We really appreciate you, Dead Man. You actually, he's hung out here. I think I also saw him in the karaoke that he came and supported. Really, really grateful that you support what I do here and what we do here on the Night Owl.
Yes.
Thank you for
And to
everything.
you, and to you, the Dead Man, peace and long life.
Absolutely. And then I guess let's just quickly go over stuff. Salad Slops, Dude Bro Seth 420. How's it going, man? Tim Hayes, Istophobos. Istophobos, I want to thank him. He sent some interesting info. It was thanks to him that I knew that AOC then apologized for not having pronouns. Thank you for delivering that important information, Istophobos. We have Whalem03, Kitty Bear, Jamalama, Captain Have Fun, Rob Nutskubla, Phantom Monk, I think I said.
Phantom Monk, Skyfire, 77.
DJ Play Nice.
Yep.
Skyfire, yes, that's Adam Gray. Certainly a lot of people. Rob Nutskubla, I said. Istophobos, I said. Common People, hey, what's up? He said, I miss 90s. This is just funny. I'll just highlight it. I miss 90s Whoopi when I didn't know who she was.
Let's see.
But even as Sophobos said she used to be cool. She did used to be cool. I know it's hard to believe now. But regardless.
She was on Star Trek. I mean, come on.
Yeah, and she was good there. I liked her on Star Trek. Kitty Bear, I think I said.
Remember when she dated Ted Danson and he came to that one awards show
with a blackface? Yes, that was really weird.
Very strange.
Eraserhead. She's always been a weirdo, and they were trying to make some weirdo statement, and it backfired.
Yeah.
I think we said Skyfire.
Yeah.
I think I saw Marla Sharondoff at some point.
Yeah, Marla was here. Did you get Kivo? Kivo 1961?
Kivo
always
1961
joins
for
us
sure.
over on Rumble. Always appreciate that, Kivo.
Kivo sent a super chat at some point. A Rumble rant, I think.
Oh, yes, yeah.
The real Arthur Blake, Soul King. Sammy Threepeat. Sammy's a friend of the channel. Earl Cole DeStefano. Mur Rockstra. Superior Nav. Stephen Mack. I have No Dick. With the greatest name ever. Smilex. I hope I haven't forgotten anybody. If I have, I apologize.
We mustn't forget Smilex.
Echo 3. Stephen Mack, I think I said. Waza Angel. Again, like always, I say if I forget somebody, I apologize. Bishop Judas. Joshua Calkins. Just another red shirt. Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
Sometimes I miss Pyromancer.
Your mom was a hamster.
There's a person like that?
Yeah. Peter Liam.
The dead man we said already.
Yeah. Hedu. Hedu? Hedu? I don't know.
Not sure who that is, but thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you for everybody that hangs out with us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Jimmy Nature.
Yep. Soul King.
Yep. Adam Gray, I think I said. There's a guy called Polish.
Yeah, he had some interesting things to say.
He's. I think I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, sometimes
Pyromancer. McFadden. Did we get Pyromancer?
Yeah, we got Pyromancer. Bush McFadden. I wonder how this sounds to people. We're just trying to read everybody, but we try to give shout outs, and it's a nice thing to do. We do appreciate Mark D with a C.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
I
great
forgot
Mark
it.
D with a C. You know, Mark, I was thinking about you just yesterday. I was watching some Blake 7, and I was thinking about that that liberator that you made for that you made for Klobby. I was just like, oh yeah, I remember that. That was awesome. Yep. Anyway.
Klobby was a good dude.
Yep.
And yeah, so thank you everybody for joining us on this edition of the Night Owl. Of course, we'll see you here next week at Tuesday at 11:45 p.m. Eastern, as we always do Tuesday and Thursday at 11:45 p.m. Eastern. The Night Owl. That's with me with Price of Reason, and then you have Professor R2 and the real Sean Crummell also with us. Before we go, once again, whatever platform you're on, if you're on Rumble, if you're not subscribed, I think you should. If you're not signed up and you're just watching on an app or something, I think you should sign up for Rumble because it's a good platform that supports free speech. In addition, if you're already signing up, you should definitely follow us, follow this channel, just so you can stay posted. And if you feel like liking or commenting, that's always welcome as well. If you're on other platforms, again, hit the like button, subscribe, drop us some comments. We always appreciate that. And as far as Professor R2, he has his own Rumble channel, which you should check out. Sean maybe could put something in the link. In addition, he's also on X, which you can follow him there. He has some good insights. Sean also has his different YouTube, his X, but more importantly, he has his own comic that he draws and does. And if he wants to drop a link to Crumb's comics, you can find Sean's comic. In some cases, he can also do like custom covers. Of course, you have to check with him and his schedule and everything, but he's done some cool custom stuff. So you should check that out.
Don't check his schedule. Screw his schedule. Request something really crazy on the cover.
Yeah, like
make him work for it.
Like Nick's cover. We had to
Love Nick's cover. Love what you did for
Leap.
Nick. You did a Quantum Leap crossover with his comic. Really cool, man.
Yeah.
And Stephen Mack says Klobby was the best, and I agree. He was a super nice guy.
Yeah.
He left us in a very sudden way, and it really was a loss. He was really a very kind of nice guy, but also with a lot of kind of integrity and knowledge. And he was just a good guy overall.
He was. He was just a cool guy, and he's sorely missed.
Yep. He absolutely is. Adam Gray, Rip Klobby, Istophobos, Rip Klobby. I did something on Nick Weiser's channel that I was a guest on his Klobby's Comic Book Shop show. I was there maybe a few months ago, a month and a half, 2 months. It's already kind of a blur to me, but we did something there with some comics, and I thought that maybe that was my own way of kind of doing a little tribute to Klobby there, and maybe I'll visit Nick like that again at some point.
Mm-hmm.
But no matter what tributes we do, it's not the same as the real guy himself.
Yeah. Yep.
But that's all we can do. Try to, respect him and do things to, honor him, which we try to do. And on that note, which was actually a rather, it's somber and positive at the same time.
Yep. You got to remember people like Klobby. It's sad that they're gone, but just remembering kind of the legacy he left behind. Just an amazing person he was, and all the people that he brought together on his channel. All the people I still bump into people in chats all the time. I'm like, hey, I remember you from, seeing you on Klobby's channel, right? And that was really the greatest gift he gave us, was the community that he brought together, and everybody just getting to know each other and support each other, and it's cool. It's real neat. So
Mark D with a C Rip Klobby. And then Rob Nutskubla says, I remember when he passed. Rest in peace, Clobbering Time. Yeah, and then Adam Gray says, get down with B-sides tomorrow, kids. It's Noirvember. So yeah, if you guys want to plug
Yeah.
something, Professor Sean, if you want to talk about something right before we go.
Yeah, I may or may not be joining them for B-Sides tomorrow. I'll have to wait and see. Adam said there's an open seat, but yeah, on Friday nights, Adam Gray and his crew over there will do. Right now, they're doing Noirvember, so they're doing some noir films that they're talking about, enjoying, making fun of, and whatnot on Friday nights. And so, yeah, you can find that the B-Side show over on B-Roll Stage on YouTube, and they're also on Rumble, and you can find them there. And yeah, it's a fun time. Everybody hanging out.
For sure. So thank you all for hanging out with us. Really appreciate it, and we'll see you all next week on Tuesday, 11:45 p.m. on the Night Owl. And I guess that's it. Bye.
Night, everyone.
Bye.